Yeah, they hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, yeah. I had to elevate. I'm way too fly, yeah, I'm feeling myself. Ain't no chance I'm coming down, no. Got a soul view to myself, yeah. Why would I give it up? Why do they wanna come take my place? I work too hard for it, don't need a replacement. This my vocation, now I got rollies all in rotation. Hop on a jet just to take a vacation. Remember the moments was trapped in the basement. Now the hard work is all taking me places. Starting all bad like we trapped in the matrix. Bet on myself and go ball out in Vegas. Living a life like I'm rich and I'm famous. Don't see the grind that I know that it came with. I ain't make it this far for myself, yeah. I had to prove to everybody else, I had to set them straight, yeah. I had to ball, so I had to renovate, I know. They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm not I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, yeah. I had to elevate. Ooh, yeah. Why they wanna put me down? So much drip, yeah, I almost drowned in it. I can't come it down. Yeah, I'm way too fired up. I can't slow it down. Ooh, yeah, yeah. I see the flashing lights. Make sure the fashion right, yeah. I'm in my bag tonight, yeah. Ooh,
yeah.
Watch out, the engine is roaring. It's too loud, you can ignore it. Yeah, yeah. This the highlights for the few.
All right. We tapped in. Good morning, ATP. Clap it up for yourself. You cannot get the notifications. Now, a lot of people in the building this morning, but we still got to cook. We still got to do what we came to do. We came to get a job done, and we got to get it done. Salute to SOB TV. One only guys in the building. No, I know how it is in the morning, man. Everybody's on. Everybody's hustling and bustling, talking this boxing talk, but not everybody doing it like the kid, right? It is what it is. Got a lot to talk about today. Do we got a lot to talk today? I mean, yeah, nah. I mean, it's same old, right? We're going into fight weekend. A decent weekend of fights going on this weekend. The Zone, obviously, Golden Boy collaboration coming together to bring Derail Zepeda and Tevin Farmer 2 back together. And of course, we have the Michaela Mayer, Sandy Ryan card going into this weekend. We're getting closer and closer to the fights. Face-offs have been done, weigh-ins, press conferences should be going on probably today, and as well as weigh-ins going on tomorrow, and ultimately the big show on Saturday. Also wanted to go ahead and tap in a little bit deeper into this whole entire David Benavidez, Dmitry Bivol, Samson Leakowitz love triangle situation, where David Benavidez is definitely at a crossroads, been working a while trying to get himself into a title contention. Finally kind of has it, but really needs to be, some people might say needs to be a little bit more patient, but Samson Leibowitz playing his A-side privileges, I guess, which is interesting that David Benavidez or Samson Leibowitz would even approach it that way with an A-side type of mindset. Being that Dmitry Bivol is an undisputed light heavyweight champion, right? Big paydays on the other side of the conversation with Turki Al-Sheikh, but Samson Leibowitz, Leakowitz putting his foot down and saying that, you know, ultimately he's not going to kiss the ring, right? He's not going to kiss the ring of Turki Al-Sheikh. But what's the end game? What in all actuality, what is the end game with David Benavidez? He's in the light heavyweight division. We got to talk about what opportunities are actually there for David Benavidez. Where's Dmitry Bivol going after this fight with Artur Beterbiev? One might entertain the idea that Beterbiev is probably going to retire after this fight, or maybe one or two more fights. But ultimately, Dmitry Bivol may go up to cruiserweight as well, challenge Jairo Pataya for his title, or maybe mix it up with Zurdo Ramirez. Who knows where he's at with it? But I'm not too sure how many options are really out there. We'll talk about it, right? We'll talk about it as far as that's concerned. Also want to tap in a little bit more on the Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez situation. Devin Haney's path to victory, I think, is pretty clear on what he has to do, what he should do. To make it easier for himself, but also dealing with the Jose Ramirez, who seems to be really motivated, feels like he's going to be a stronger, faster fighter, talking about being depleted, staying at 140 maybe a little too long. So he does have a game opponent in front of him in Jose Ramirez, but on paper, it looks like Devin Haney should be the one to it really looks like Devin Haney should be the one to be able to handle this. I don't want to say easily, but I wouldn't argue with you if you thought should handle it easily, right? I wouldn't argue with you. Let me see here. Mr. Big Play, Brain the Building says, good morning, Boxer family. Right on time, Clay. I'm in this mandatory training class. I'm in the back with my headset. Oh, no doubt, Mr. Big Play, bro. I appreciate you being here in the building. Thanks for the support, man. Thanks for the support. Definitely want to get down and kind of get through some of these fights. Brian Norman Jr. defending his WBO title for the first time since he's got it. We know that he's had a bit of a hand surgery since his last fight, where he actually won the fight with Giovanni Santillan, and of course positioning himself to be in the conversation of a unification title fight with Jerron Boots Ennis, right? Or even Mario Barrios, but obviously we know the backstory between Brian Norman Jr. and Jerron Boots Ennis at this point. So looking to position himself that way, but has a gamed opponent in front of him, right? And Derek Cuevas, who plans on not folding and derailing, if anything, Brian Norman Jr. And he also anticipates trying to unify and make some things happen in the welterweight division. We got to talk about that, as well as Shu Shu Carrington saying he wants in by any means. Looking at all the champions, ranking number one right now in the WBO and the WBC rankings, and the WBO and WBC rankings, and ranking number 2 and number 3 in the WBA rankings. So really looking at all the champions. If he had his pick of the litter, looks like it would probably be Nick Ball, being that Nick Ball is the one on the top of the pecking order as far as who's going to get at Monster anyway for that big payday, for that big legacy fight. But stating that, Stephen Fulton is always been a fight he wants to put together, and as well as acknowledging Rafael Espinoza as a potential fighter. He's willing to fight anybody at this point. Doesn't want to get left out of the conversation of what's going on at 126. Wants to get strapped and be on point before Monster Inoue gets in the division. So this fight is a big fight for him. It's an eliminator fight, and it looks like he's dialed in as he should be. Let's see. Mr. Big Play Bird said no one better come in the plan with a plan A and B. It's not going to be an easy fight. Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Big Play Bird. We definitely got to talk about that, because Cuevas is not. Cuevas is not going anywhere, and Brian Norman Jr. looking good in his last fight against Santillan, but still, are we going to disregard how he looked the fight before that, right? Are we going to disregard that? Ray Davis always says you're only good as your last fight. I tend to agree with that, but ultimately, we don't know for sure until we know, right? Until they fight. So we got to talk about that as well. Where else do we gotta go with this today? Oh yeah, we'll talk about Emiliano Vargas too. Why not? Emiliano Vargas fighting on this card, a star in the making, son of the legendary Fernando Vargas. Emiliano Vargas fighting at 140 pounds. Listen, I think he's about 12, 13 fights into his professional career. Where does he go from here? This fight right here, another stepping stone, which he wants to get him in the direction of challenging for a championship. He wants to be there by the end of the year, early next year. He wants to be challenging for a title. So what steps and what moves and what kind of matchmaking, how are they going to really steer this ship for Emiliano Vargas? He has a lot of star qualities, but I'll be honest, really haven't had any significant fights, still stopping and knocking everybody out. Might be time for him to go ahead and step up, in competition after this one. We got to talk about Emiliano a little bit as well. Salute Fred Muir. Good morning, King. Hope everything is good. But that's about it, right? Boxing is kind of like where we are. We've talked about a lot this week. One thing about the show, we talk about everything in one show. We don't just do one topic at a time and stay on it all day long. We try to cover the the broad spectrum, the boxing spectrum, and try to keep it covered. So it is what it is. Once you get to this point of the week, it's almost barbecue and mildew time, right? Hold on one second. That being said, let's go on to the first topic that I kind of want to get in. David Benavidez, is David making a mistake playing the A-side game right now? David being managed by Samson Leakowitz and seems to be following the instructions of his management, right? Taking the advice of the people who he put his career in the hands of, and he doesn't want to go rogue. Let's take this. Let's dial back the clock a little bit to David Benavidez flying out to Saudi Arabia after a big event against David Morrell. Not stopping David Morrell. I'm about to lie, right? Winning convincingly against David Morrell, and all of a sudden a star is born, right? David Benavidez has been looking for that signature fight that was going to put him there. He headlined his own pay-per-view against David Morrell, took the steps into not fighting Jesse Hart to steer his own career in the right direction and putting on a fight that the fans wanted to see. And I think the boxing space embraced him and has celebrated him for doing that. Now having some momentum that he's built up for himself, how does he capitalize on that momentum? Of course, Turki Al-Sheikh assured him that, once the Beterbiev and Bivol situation was ironed out and complete, that David Benavidez would be in line for undisputed. So David Benavidez gets personally invited out into Saudi Arabia for the Bivol 2, and takes the invitation and goes out to Saudi Arabia. That sounds good. That sounds great, right? I talked about this before and said, listen, this is a big move for David Benavidez. For sure he's not going to go out to Saudi Arabia and not get into a conversation with Turki Al-Sheikh that doesn't involve some sort of an offer for a fight to put something big together. That's why Turki's inviting him out there, right? Turki's not, on the other side of the playing field when it comes to, heterosexual activity. He's not attracted to David Benavidez. If he is indeed inviting David Benavidez out to Saudi Arabia, I think one can safely assume that he has plans and ideas of what he wants to do with David Benavidez as far as matchmaking is concerned. Keep in mind, of course, that David Benavidez was aware going out there that there was a good chance that Bivol will win the fight. As a matter of fact, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that David Benavidez favored Bivol to win that fight. So understanding that and acknowledging that naturally a trilogy would be in the conversation, you would think that David Benavidez took that into consideration before going out to Saudi Arabia. Well, I guess while watching the fight mid-range, watching the fight, seeing Dimitri Bivol, I guess maybe heading down the direction of getting a victory, left the event, right? Left the event out of nowhere. Turki Al-Sheikh mentioned in an interview during the fight, during a break in the fight, an intermittent break in the fights, saying, sent a message out to Al Heyman, let's get this done. Let's put David Benavidez in a fight. I want to do work with David Benavidez. Let's get it done. At some point or another, though, David Benavidez abruptly leaves and heads back to the States. Kind of rude. Being a little bit rude right there. I don't know. Being a little bit rude. You were invited, I'm sure Turkey had more plans for you as far as showing you around Saudi Arabia, feeding you some good Middle Eastern Saudi Arabian food, introducing you to the culture. Let's build this relationship. Let's build this friendship up, this and see what we can do for each other and what I could do for you more than maybe you can do for me. And let's ultimately get to the end goal, which is getting you in front of whoever wins this trilogy fight between Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. Samson Leakowitz seems to have had different plans, right? Seems to have different plans for David Benavidez. As information slowly comes out, it looks like Samson Leakowitz says, listen, man, we're going to move in a different direction, and we're going to play chess, not checkers, with getting David Benavidez a title. He's been playing this WBC game for a while now, ever since 168, and we don't want to play the game anymore. We want to get David Benavidez a title no matter what. So what does he do? In the background, it looks like, from the outside looking in, looks like Mauricio Suleiman and maybe Samson Leakowitz kind of come together and say, listen, man, activate this mandatory, man. You didn't do it for us with Canelo Alvarez. David Benavidez is tired of being an interim champion. He wants this fight. Here we go. We got to wait again for this trilogy fight at this point. What's going to get in our way at that point? Once there is a trilogy fight, is this guy going to retire? What's ultimately going to happen? Are we assured to go ahead and get this opportunity? We don't want to play games anymore, and David Benavidez is threatening to go up to cruiserweight to go ahead and fight Zurdo Ramirez. He can become a unified champion up there, compete up there. We don't need to sit up here and play these games right now, as far as waiting on an opportunity like we did with Canelo Alvarez at 168. Now, Turki Al-Sheikh to me has always so far been a man of his word. You know, ultimately, if he says he's going to do it, for the most part, he does do it. So I don't know if David Benavidez doubted Turki Al-Sheikh. But the question is, and the concern, it looks like it is from Samson Leikowitz's point of view, is the leverage part of the conversation, right? Not wanting to give the leverage to Turki Al-Sheikh, wanting to be loyal to the PBC, having his own ideas of how he wants David Benavidez to look in these negotiations. Didn't want to go ahead and bend the knee to Turki Al-Sheikh, or as he said, kiss the ring. He said, listen, man, you guys aren't selling pay-per-views that way, which we'll talk about that as well, because I don't know what pay-per-views really... Pay-per-views to me have always aligned with money, right? Making money in the game. And when you're dealing with Turki Al-Sheikh, the money's right there and right up front. So what do we really care about pay-per-view sales? If David Benavidez was to go ahead and fight Dmitry Bivol or Artur Beterbiev in front of 8,000 people in Saudi Arabia, but walks away with $10+ million, you know what I mean, $10+ million for an opportunity to become undisputed, what does he care how many pay-per-views sell, right? But this is what Samson says, listen, man, their last event didn't sell that much, sold under 50,000 pay-per-views. And, he doesn't believe in the whole entire business model that Turki brings to the table. He wants David Benavidez to fight in Las Vegas. He wants him to headline and wants this to be a PBC event, as the PBC seems to be, according to Samson Leikowitz, a proven pay-per-view selling model. Really focused in on this pay-per-view thing, which I don't know. Once again, pay-per-view seems to be going out of style. Streaming seems to be the future. Everybody's stealing fights, fans and not fans. It doesn't matter. It's about saving money. Boxing, sports in general, seems to be moving away, or wanting to move away from the pay-per-view model, and wanting to be more so in a situation to where we can get guaranteed purses, right? We don't want to play the game, the pay-per-view game, too much longer in the game. The future is moving away from that. And once again, Turki Al-Sheikh is really just an exception to the rule in multiple ways, being that he offers these huge guaranteed paydays. So, but Samson, regardless, this is his position that he stands on. He feels like he's representing the best interest of David Benavidez when he's carrying it this way. And ultimately, what we got to figure out is this the best move for David Benavidez, right? Let's be honest. When it comes to the light heavyweight division, how many opportunities are really there that the PBC is ready to or capable of facilitating for David Benavidez, right? It is what it is. We got to be honest about what we're looking at. And is David Benavidez maybe, following the leader, but following the wrong leader in this conversation as far as Samson Leikowitz is concerned? Although he has ideas, and he'll tell you that the PBC is doing very well, and that he has a lot of opportunities for David Benavidez as a promoter, his interest is clear, right? Being in the guy who's facilitating the fights for David Benavidez, so he can get paid off the fights. But is he really, have David Benavidez's best interest or his own best interest in thought when he's making these decisions, right? I think it's kind of interesting to kind of watch this thing develop, because David Benavidez, one would say, is in a great position, but the position is only a great position if he's able to properly capitalize off the momentum he's built for himself. And I don't know if he's necessarily doing that right now, playing the A side role, dictating the terms and how things are going to go between him and his opportunity to ultimately fight and win a championship, something he's wanted to do. Does David Benavidez care if it's email? Does it make a difference if it's email, if he fights for it? I mean, he's always seemed to be a prideful fighter. I don't know how much pride there is in getting an email belt when the opportunity is clearly there for you. You just have to wait one more fight, right? You just got to wait for them to do one more fight. Turki Al-Sheikh, rumor going around saying that he offered David Benavidez a fight with Caleb Smith for a very good lucrative offer. This is coming from Samson Leakowitz. So Turkey definitely had plans for him. Shout out to Ray Davis, by the way, in the building. Ray Davis.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What's good, Clay? Late for work, man. You know.
Yeah.
Had to take an extra 15 minutes.
I know you was dealing with trying to catch up on some rest. So I stayed.
You should know when you talking to me and I'm like, brother, you like, yeah. I'm like, Clay, you should know. It's like time to like, all right, let's just do.
Nah, I definitely hung up for sure. You know what I mean? But what's good with you, man? You up and at it? You got some energy? Got some coffee in you?
Yeah, man. Coffee downstairs. I don't know why I left it down there. I usually drink it, but no, we good. Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm all ready to go. Wired. You know what I mean? Yes, sir.
No doubt. Well, you hear what we're talking about right now. You know what I mean? I was definitely building on this whole entire David Benavidez situation here, and just trying to get some perspective as to what we're looking at, what we're actually looking at here, with Samson Leakowitz and the way he's moving with his career. I mean, you got any thoughts on it at this point as far as what David Benavidez is choosing to do, which honestly looks like he's trying to just get an email, a championship email to him, right? Because it doesn't look like Biggles going to that side of the pond to go ahead and protect his undisputed status. Looks like he's, his loyalties to the guy who was taking care of him, who got him to this big show. Bivol and Beterbiev wasn't even in conversations. Didn't even look like this fight was even going to come together. And we talked about it earlier this week as far as Mauricio Suleiman's position with the Russian thing and everything like that. But how does David benefit from this, or is he shooting himself in the foot at this point? What's going on with it?
Listen, for a guy who always wanted to fight for a championship and be a championship fighter, I think it's kind of crazy that they're playing hardball. Now, what's going to end up happening, Clay, and believe it or not, I guarantee because of what's his name, Lithowitz, right, Samson? Mm-hmm. I guarantee for what Samson did and what he said, you're going to be very surprised if they don't force this into a purse bid and Turkey Al-Sheikh buys the whole fight. And guess what happens? They're going to have to bend the ring, right? I mean, bend the knee. They're going to have to kiss the ring, kiss some ass, like I told you. And they ain't going to get paid that cash that they want to get paid. Because then this fight's already sold. So the negotiation at that point will be over. So they got to chill. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's best to just do what you got to do. I'm not saying PBC cannot put on a fight, but yeah, this guy's living through like you said, the dinosaur age, bro. Like at this point, pay-per-views are extinct. We're past that. Or I'll say co-magnum because, dinosaur age will be like ABC, TV, boxing. But let's keep moving, you know what I mean? So we're way past that right now, and streaming is the thing. They're not going to put fight on Amazon or try to build it up on another network, so why not? It looks like, speaking of loyalty, Bivol's loyal to Eddie Hearn. He don't look like he's
well,
you know what I mean? So let's just remove Turkey from the picture. He looked like, I'm not going over there to fight this guy. He wants to fight, yes, come over here. I'm the champion. I deserve, you know what I mean? But now he's trying to pull, would you say, A-side privileges yesterday, right? It looks like they're trying to pull A-side privileges. But if this guy's the undisputed champion and the guy of the division, who's really the A-side in this matter?
And the guy who has the money behind him, right? Let's be honest.
Right.
He has the money behind him. And I think it's interesting, like I said, to watch the thing play out, because to watch Samson Leakowitz speak as confidently as he is, because, obviously David Benavidez had a great event, built a lot of momentum for himself with that David Morrell fight. But to play this game as if we're going to dictate the terms and you're going to come fight in Vegas and give David Benavidez his home field advantage, as well as, almost like you're giving Dimitri Bivol an opportunity to do something, is nonsense.
Right.
He's held the WBC championship at 168 that he's lost, on the scale. I think he's lost it twice, actually, right? He lost on the scale and then he got right.
And some extra activities, so nose candy.
Right. Exactly. And, being an interim champion, listen, a fighter who's had a lot of great fights, who's clearly been building himself up, And we can acknowledge that David Benavidez has been building his market value and his brand up for a long time. But does any of that add up to something that, it can be leveraged as some sort of privilege to over Dimitri Bivol? Now, keep in mind, whenever they talk about Tank Davis and Canelo Alvarez and all these people being the A sides and being, the guy who puts asses in seats, they're talking about money, right?
Right.
We're talking about the guy who brings the most money to the table. Well, in what world do you guys bring more money than Turkey Al-Sheikh to the table? In what world does pay-per-view sales and asses in seats mean anything to a man who just goes ahead and pays up front? As if you sold 80,000 seats in the building, as if you sold 500,000+ pay-per-views. You're going to get paid that way. So I think to me, it seems like the pay-per-view model and the asses in seats model and this idea has been given a lot of weight over the years, and well-deserved weight. But people have to understand and embrace the idea that Turkey Al-Sheikh just brings an exception to the rule, intangible to the space, right? Like, right. What's the difference in fighting between 100 people inside? He's literally having an event right now in Times Square with Ryan Garcia headlining it, where he's limited the seats to 300 seats, right? He's limited it. He said can't be no more than 300 people to watch this. So this man is no longer concerned about, let's sell the most tickets. No, it's about making the biggest fights, making the biggest spectacles, and we're willing to pay the fighters accordingly. According to the stylistic entertainment value of the fight that comes to the table.
Right.
I don't know if Leakowitz is. And I don't want to question this man. He's been doing this for a very long time, but he does seem like he's outdated in his thought process, right? It does seem like he's a little outdated as to what matters today over what doesn't really matter anymore. The pay-per-view model is going out the window. It's going out the window. Streaming is where it's at. Netflix is where it's at. That's where TKO is heading. That's where Jake Paul made the biggest show, crashed the servers of Netflix, fighting against an old, out of it, nowhere near should have been in the ring. Mike Tyson sold 20+ million or had 20+ million views going on at the same time. That's what the future is. Am I bugging, Ray?
No, man. And look, Clay, sometimes you're gonna get these people that just don't want to buzz. He got big numbers at the PBC with his last pay-per-view. Probably also, actually, he did outsell Javante and pay-per-view buys. So that back end money looking sweet right now in Samson. So the fact is that he's being loyal to the soil, and he's getting away from the main goal is the Benavidez has been chasing the championship. It didn't never. You talk about legacy. We just talk about Devin Haney and legacy and how money has probably changed him, right? But let's look at it right now. Did money change Benavidez, or did it change his management? Because it seems like Benavidez has always been on this strength of I want the belt, I want the biggest fights, and I want the belt. He figures like I assumed Devin was, that the money's going to come with the fights. It's going to come with the championships. Eventually, it's going to get there. But it looks like once you get that bag, you don't think there's no bigger bag. But hey, man, you know what happens. Some people don't feel like they feel like they're selling their soul or something to somebody because they're getting money to fight, to entertain the world and the fans, instead of just, we'll stay here and we'll just make this money over here, stay loyal. And no disrespect to Al. I'm telling you, that's what it is, Clay. It comes down to loyalty. This is a whole loyalty thing, both sides.
It's loyalty, but it seems like different people have different narratives and agendas. Everybody has something different going on.
Yeah.
And, David Benavidez stepped it up for himself and got out of that Jesse Hart fight, right? Said, listen, I'm not going to continue to do this. I'm not going to continue to just make you guys money, fight these guys. And it's not moving my career forward. Guys, if you're not listening to me, I want to be a champion. I want legacy. I want to show that I'm the best. I want to fight the best. This is the language that David Benavidez has always used when it comes to his boxing career. But Here you have a move being played on his side of the fence. Samson Leakowitz represents his best interest, right? Excuse me. Somebody who can speak on the behalf of David Benavidez and be a voice for David Benavidez is clearly playing politic games right now, right? This does not align with what David Benavidez has communicated to the space is his agenda in boxing. His agenda is to fight the best and prove to the world who he is. Well, here he is clearly making a move that escapes fighting the best. He doesn't fight the best. Now you're going to get an emailed belt in the mail. You're going to become an emailed champion. And who are you going to go fight? You're going to go defend your title now against Caleb Smith. Is Caleb Smith better than Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev? And let me add on this just to land my plane here and say, there's no reason for them to fight you. They don't need to fight you. They've already had their biggest paydays. They're going to run into their next biggest payday on this trilogy. And both these guys are up in age, can go ahead and retire. So you're risking not even getting a chance to fight them, because I'm sure there's some smart person navigating and playing chess on the other side of this conversation as far as Leakowitz is concerned, saying, listen, you're going to get the fight anyway because he's going to want to come back and be two-time undisputed. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. You might literally be tricking yourself. And the question is, not only will he fight you, but is he ever going to be willing to come over to your side of the fence when he's very comfortable with a fan base that supports him, with an investor that supports him like Turki Al-Sheikh? Will he ever go against Turki Al-Sheikh and end up on the other side of the fence fighting on a PBC card in your backyard, bringing 3 belts to the table? Do you think he's going to do that?
He's the fucking A side, Clay. The biggest thing is we're missing the point that Benavidez is not the A side in that these situations. I don't even understand where I even can. Bro, it's absolutely ludicrous. And you know what? He can be a true 50-50 A side, or however you want to say, A1, A2 fighter in this fight if he waits his time. You know what I mean? The Caleb Smith fight, guess what? They don't got to even give you that fight. Guess why they don't got to give you that fight? Caleb Smith don't fight on PBC.
Caleb Smith legitimately could wait in line right now and fight and wait for Bivol. He'll get the fight next and get the payday.
Exactly.
That's what he'll do.
First.
Because he'll mess around and fight. You know, they'll get him a nice little fight. Riyadh doesn't have to pay for it. You know what I mean? Who is he with, by this? Caleb with Queensberry, or is he with
Matchroom?
He's with Matchroom, right? So they'll put him on a card, headline him. He'll be an interim champion. Maybe he'll fight. You know, they can put him in front of a David Morrell. You know what I mean? They could put him in position real quick.
I was thinking the same thing. What if the biggest slap in the face is if they put Morrell in the ring with Bivol because he's playing this game, and they're like, you know what? Everybody take a break. We got something for you, Morrell.
I don't think they put David Morrell, but I could see Caleb getting into Morrell. And I definitely can see Morrell beating Caleb Smith, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Why even do that? Why not throw shade where it needs to be? You know what I mean?
I don't know that. I don't know that. I feel like
I'm not saying Turkey does it in a point, but he has a point to prove, and he has been known to prove his point by doing things. I'm not saying they're shady, but doing things that work either way, and it benefits what he's standing on. So if he's going to stand on something, why not take the guy right in your own backyard and give him the payday? He gonna get bigger money, even if he lose again. He gonna get bigger money than you do fighting at Caleb Smith or fighting anybody else you have lined up in Billy, McGee, or whatever for a belt that you just got in the email. Yeah, why not? Why not throw some?
I think that at the end of the day, David Morrell's still a PBC fighter, though, right?
He already fought over there. And I don't even care if he's a PBC fighter or not. I don't think it's the PBC with the problem. I think it's the management of David Benavidez. That's the problem.
Right, David, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So I don't see why they wouldn't do it. Okay, well, I mean, we getting a piece of that paper. So if you fight over there, you should have did the same thing. I can see Al saying that. You the fool.
Yeah. Let me shout out to Captain. Don't give a F. Showing some love in the chat right here. Continue to prosper, great brothers. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, family. Thank you. Yeah, you never know, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, boxing has always been foundationally over money, right? Money's always been involved in boxing. The corruption, everything has to do with money. You're trying to go head up with the money, and I don't know if you're going to win this fight. And once again, this seems personal between promoters, between what would you call PBC?
Is it really?
Promotional platform, a net? I don't know what you want to
call
it.
Right? That's what the question is. Is it really personal? Like, is Turkey taking it personal? Is Eddie Hearn taking it personal? Or
no, they're not taking it personal, but ultimately it's about vested interest, right? It's about they're playing chess because the PBC is in a build back phase, right? They're building their things up slowly, one brick at a time. And David Benavidez is a major piece in their on their journey to get back to where they want to be at. So they don't want to risk losing David Benavidez in any kind of way, right? They don't want David Benavidez to get, the red carpet treatment for too long over on the Turkey side, because everybody has a price, right? You want to keep him happy, you want to keep him on your side as much as you can. You want to leverage him right now. He's a very important part of your return. Same thing with Gervonta Tank Davis, right? You don't want nobody playing with him. You don't want him to go over there. You don't want him getting flown in and fed and staying in a penthouse and getting the biggest bags and doing those things and having to compete with that. Right. But ultimately, does that align with does that thought process align with what's in best interest of the fighter? No, it aligns with what's in best interest of the promotional company or the manager. And I question if David Benavidez sees it that way, because at the end of the day, he saw it with the Jesse Hart fight, right? He got involved and said, "Look, bro, I'm not doing that." He overstood the situation and got in front of that and put himself in the right position. Now, he flew over to Saudi Arabia, understanding every piece, every intangible, everything that happened was foreseeable, as far as the trilogy happening, as far as him being offered a Caleb Smith fight, as far or the winner between Caleb Smith and Joshua Buatsi. He saw all these things. These were foreseeable. So why'd you even go to Saudi Arabia if you were just going to reject it? He didn't. I'm sure the money was right. I heard Samson Leakowitz say the offer was very I don't know if I'm having a brain fart right now. A super lucrative offer that Turki Al-Sheikh made to David Benavidez. So I don't want it's almost, it doesn't make sense almost as to why David Benavidez would actually stand with Leakowitz outside of his loyalty to his manager. Stand with Leakowitz on a decision being made to go ahead and play it this way, where we're going to activate the mandatory, and we'd rather. Or we're willing to risk just getting the belt via email when Turkey's already locked you in and said he wants to put the fight together for you, give you the payday, but more important than the payday, because the payday is not even an issue, give you the fight. Now you're going to not get the fight. Even if you get the belt, now you're going to have this other asterisk hanging over your head. At first it was interim champion, interim champion, interim champion. Well, we're going to trade out interim champion now for email champion. It's the same situation, right? You're not fighting for the belt. You see what Boots is going through right now, not wanting to leave 147, you know what I'm saying, to go ahead and fight for a championship. He does not want that tag on him, and I don't think David wants it either.
100%. 100%. And on top of that, Mark, you know what I mean, we got to look at the fact that something, like you said, somebody's telling David, or someone told David, like, look, the money's going to be better over here, or maybe they just told him, look, he got, like you said earlier, right? Listen, just take that belt. Let them give it to you. He gonna want his belt back, and he gonna come fight you. No, that doesn't necessarily work like that. He doesn't necessarily need undisputed like that. You have the opportunity to become undisputed. You're blowing a chance for that fight, and it can end up at the end of the day, man, being something really bad and unnecessarily done in the boxing world. And I can see this, man. It's all because all this nonsense. And if it's a lucrative deal, then what is the deal you're getting on the other side? Like back in money that you got to wait for to be you know what I mean, invested back into you. Like that don't make no sense. Because let's check it out. I think between the two fights is the reason they made a plus. They made a plus finally, where they're able to put on fights this year. Because last year they weren't able to do all that. You know what I mean? They tried the free card thing and looked terrible, looked like you were in a freaking boxing gym. They tried to do a lot of things. And look, I'm not knocking PBC. I think they have more than enough money. And I don't think Amazon's still bought in yet. You know what I mean? They're willing to put on the fight, but they already told PBC, y'all got to pay for your own cards. And what y'all do, y'all pay us for the channel. We'll back you up here, and we'll do this. It's not looking pretty, Clay. It's really not looking pretty either way for Benavidez. Like I said, the opportunity. You know what it looks like? You want me to because I remember there was an argument what I had with a said person about this same topic last year, and I actually brought Benavidez up in this conversation, right? This looks like that same situation when Devin Haney was negotiating with Shakur Stevenson last year, and Shakur kept saying 50-50. Shakur dropped the belts. I'm sorry, Devin dropped the belts. Shakur got the belt anyway, and now he's got to go chase and scramble for Undisputed, where he could have just had the opportunity to win it all in one shot. So now what happens with Benavidez? He retires, or he drops the belt, or whatever the case may be, and he moves forward. And that's what it comes down to. But, hey, man, it is what it is at that point. So I think Benavidez is making, in my opinion, it's making a mistake. It's just history repeating itself, right? So that's where I kind of see this whole thing. Man, it just don't make no sense. At the end of the day, this doesn't make any sense.
I feel like, well, first, I want to respond to what Seth Brown said right here. Salute, Seth Brown. Good morning, family. Hope everything is good with you, man. Says American finances don't trust Turkey. PBC is a TV show that is a first come first basis. What does TBA mean again? What does TBA mean? TBA swag, basically. I can't remember what TBA means, man. Pardon me for my brain fart and I know what it means. And pay-per-view isn't dead. We stream and still pay a fee, family. Okay. Listen, without a doubt, pay per view and streaming is two different things, right? To pay for a service that shows a lot of different things and you're getting consistent fights, more fights, paying, let's say, $20 a month, $25, $30, $40 a month, whatever the number is, to go ahead and get unlimited content every day, no matter what. You turn it on, something is playing, is different than paying $80 for one event. The pay-per-view model is dying. It's not dead, right? People are still using it. I mean, clearly the PBC just did an event recently where, you know, it was $80 with Tank Davis, right? It was $80 plus whatever service fees and taxes. People bought the pay-per-view. So pay-per-view isn't dead, but the model, in my opinion, is dying. Why? Because it's becoming impossible, if it's not already currently impossible, for these streaming services to not steal these fights and push them on to the customer, right? So everybody's watching these fights and they're stealing it. And the numbers are going down, 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 and down. And it's becoming more and more difficult to go ahead and break over 300,000 pay-per-views being sold. Most of these fighters' back-end money are based on a minimum amount of pay-per-views selling first and then getting a percentage of everything afterwards. So the model is dying, in my opinion, Steph. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, we still pay stream. I pay my Netflix. I pay my Amazon. I pay my DAZN once a month. But I'm also getting 5+ boxing events a month from DAZN, right? More than that, to be honest with you, you know. And I'm also getting movies with Netflix as well as sporting events. I'm getting the WWE. I'm going to have boxing. I get movies. I get whatever else is going on. I get a database of things that I could watch over and over and over again. So ultimately, there's a difference between that, paying a fee for that service, and paying a paying per view, you know, to watch an event. It is what it is, you know what I mean? But I understand where you're coming from to a degree, but at the same time, it doesn't, I don't know that pay-per-view model isn't dying. Shout out to Warrior Class 3 with the $5 holla, says salute Claymore and Ray. Based on Turkey business of boxing mentioned in A-side fighters nowadays, do fighters truly represent red and blue corners anymore? I don't think they will, in the sense of the coming to the table as far as negotiating is concerned, like they used to. Like, I believe the more popular fighter and the better fighter is going to be the A side now. It's not necessarily going to be just based off of your ability to sell pay-per-view or to sell tickets as far as its seats are concerned, because they have a whole different situation to where when you look at the UFC, the event is more important than the fighters, if that makes any sense. So the place packs out no matter what. Every time they do an event, it sells out. It packs out. Why? Because the UFC event, the spectacle, is what people are buying into. It's not necessarily a fighter. You know what I mean? So the A side, B side thing is going to be more based off of, with the TKO model, at least, will be more based off of accolades, who you are. You know what I'm saying? Are you the champion in this conversation? Are you higher in ranking in this one? It's not going to necessarily, I'm sure they still take it in consideration when you think about a Conor, what's my guy's name? O'Connor. What's his name, bro? Jesus Christ. What's his name? What's the Irishman UFC fighter's name who makes all the money and sells all the something O'Connor?
About, now you're gonna mess me up. What's the name O'Connor?
I can't believe I'm having this brain fart right now. Like I don't know.
I'm just gonna type in Roadhouse the movie. Show right up, right?
Yeah. You're Connor
Ben.
No, not Conor Ben.
McGregor.
Conor McGregor. Thank you, Jesus. I can't believe that happened, man. Shout out to.
That's why you threw me off with O'Connor.
I'm trying to get this guy's name together, but Conor McGregor, John Jones, the big stars who can truly use their leverage to influence how the negotiation goes at the table. You got your exceptions to the rules no matter what, but at the end of the day, the UFC event, if you watch UFC events, even on their Friday night, they're always sold out, man, or damn near sold out. People come in there because the event is a spectacle. The same thing with WWE. You know what I'm saying? It's a spectacle. It's the production. It's the experience. It's the entertainment value. It's all these other factors included into the fighter that's fighting on the card. And I think that's what they're going to start straying away from. You're going to start seeing fighters are just going to be used to performing inside of packed buildings, no matter who you are. You're going to be getting used to performing in front of 20,000, 10 to 20,000 plus people inside of a building screaming because they came here for the whole event, and it's going to benefit the fighter because a lot of eyes are constantly going to be watching it, a lot of viewership. There's going to be all those things going on. So, I mean, we got to take those things into consideration. Thank you, Warrior Class, for the support for the channel, man. I appreciate you. Thank you again, man. Thanks for calling the chat. Once again, we've got I think we got close to 40 people in the building. Please remember to hit the like button, and please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Go ahead, Ray. You trying to say something?
You mentioning the crowd, right? That may have been a turnoff for Benavidez. Maybe he likes fighting in a live crowd where it's 20,000, 30,000 people.
It's all good, right?
But I'm saying him going there and only seeing 6,000 or 7,000 people in an arena because they shut it down to a small assembly size arena to as they said, to control the fight. Maybe that kind of discouraged them a little bit to say, you know what, I need a bigger crowd than this, or why isn't that nobody here?
Ray, I would push back at the idea of that, because what I'm pushing back at is the idea that this fight has to happen in front of only 6,000 people if he's working with Turkey. Turkey's putting together an event right now for Conor Ben and Chris Eubank that's going to be in the UK. He's putting together an event, getting ready to come up with Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez that they're talking about doing in Raider Stadium in front of 70,000 people. He's not that much resistant to this fight happening inside of an arena with a lot of people. It's not about that, right? With Turkey, it's not about, if we fight him, we have to fight in Saudi. Not necessarily, bro. Right? It's not necessarily the case with Turkey Al-Sheikh. The games, the arguments that Samson's making, they're not good arguments. You can see right through them. They're transparent. It's like skim milk. Like you're just trying to control something that you don't have in your control. You're trying to control something and dictate terms from a position because you believe that David Benavidez is a bigger star than Dimitri Bivol, which I'm not going to argue whether he's a bigger star or not. I think there is an argument there one way versus the other. Dimitri Bivol is an international superstar. Is David Benavidez an international superstar like Dimitri Bivol? I don't know. You know what I mean? I know for a fact David Benavidez is a bigger star in America than Dimitri Bivol, but I don't know internationally if he's holding that much weight, as much weight as especially after these two fights, right? For undisputed. So I don't know if that's what the case is, but once again, pay-per-view sales, asses in seats isn't what dictates the amount of money that's going to be made. As a promoter, you're concerned about the money. David Benavidez is going to be concerned about the money, but he seems to always have sold to me to be a person who's more interested in the legacy. He's always been more interested in proving himself to be a great fighter. Why choose an email belt over an opportunity to fight for the belt?
Cash.
Like I can see if it was Canelo at 168 and you played this game, I understand it then, because you're trying your best to leverage a fight with Canelo, but if he's not going to get you to fight, if the WBC would have had his back the way they're having his back right now at 175, would have made more sense to be like, all right, well, we're going to strip you of that belt. If you're not going to fight me, we're going to strip you of that belt. But Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev and Turki Al-Sheikh is not against David Benavidez getting an opportunity to become a champion. They just want to iron out and get business handled that they've already committed to getting handled, and David Benavidez knew that already. I could pull up an interview right now where David Benavidez said he's expecting a trilogy if Bivol wins, and he said he was okay with it and understands why.
Right.
So you understand why are you trying to get the belt stripped from him?
Exactly. And on top of that, let's look at it this way. If they really want to fight that bad, or they really, like I said, we haven't even heard of a purse bid being announced. All we hear is strip, strip, strip. You know what I mean? So something's definitely behind the works here being played, Clay. There's some fishy business here. And it alludes to a lot of different things. Like I said, is it because Mauricio Sulaiman believes that he should have his own native, I'll use the word native countrymen, represent the green belt? Is that something? You know what I mean? He has a facility to that. Is it because Sampson is just like, doesn't want to budge because he wants to work with PBC? He believes that he can be the one to overturn and overrule what's going on with it. It's so many questions. Benavidez seems to be the guy driven for belts. He seems to be the guy that always wants to fight for his belt and gets a championship shot. And is he really getting a shot if he's getting handed a belt? Do they believe that Bivol's going to say, oh, I'm going to come back and get that belt? If they do run a trilogy and they got the 3 belts on the line and unified, and Beterbiev wins, does Beterbiev need to fight for that belt? Absolutely not. Beterbiev has been a unified champion in that division for over 4 years. And he never chased the WBC belt until recent times, a year and a half ago, when they tried to make the fight and they shut it down, and then eventually they let it happen, or 2 years ago rather, and they let it happen. So when does it mean that, oh, I got to go get that WBC belt? They've both been undisputed. And like I said, what happens at that point? They drop the belts and then they scatter. Then he doesn't get shit. So now we have a whole different network of things, and then you're going to want these people to come fight you at that point? No, they're not. They don't have to, because they have the same leverage you got, a championship. You did nothing special. You received yours, I received mine. What did we do for these belts?
Yeah, the connection's going back. Let me holler this super chat while you figure out the technical thing going over there. Warrior Class 3 says, shouldn't the prize money be more regardless on the red corner, A side fighter, champion side, win, lose, or draw, versus the blue corner getting less as a challenger? 100%, Warrior Class. And I think that's the way it's going to be. That's not necessarily the way it's been, right? That's the way it's going to be. I think the A side is going to get the biggest bag. If David Benavidez is fighting against Dimitri Bivol, you'd have to assume that Dimitri Bivol gets the lion's share of the of the purse, right? Of whatever the money is on the table. But I think the control factor and I think the ego tripping is coming from Sampson's side. It's not coming from David Benavidez as much. I just don't. It didn't seem that's the way David was going to go with it. I mean, it made complete sense for David to go ahead and get a payday, fight Caleb Smith, get the big payday. It was going to be 2 interim titles on the line, or 3 interim titles, the 2 that David has and the one that Caleb is controlling. But it ultimately was going to assure him an opportunity at a big legacy fight with the winner between Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. He's not guaranteed to have that anymore. So now you're going to be a champion, a paper champion, interim champion, and you're going to fight another, a Caleb Smith, or I don't know who you're going to fight. And also who's controlling these fighters? Who's actually controlling the career of the light heavyweight division, of these fighters in the light heavyweight division? What fighters does PBC have contracts with, or the ability to negotiate fights with? That I don't know. It just seems like it was a big mistake for me, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It is what it is. They're gonna get moved around like they do, but I think there's a legitimate argument to say that David Benavidez finally getting to a stage in his career to where he can be on the big show. Seems to be tricking himself out of position by going with Sampson Likowicz's approach to it, which is we're going to use corporate measures and law measures, and we're going to take the belt and we're just going to upgrade you to become a champion. And now you're going to be a WBC light heavyweight champion. And now you're going to have to go around the world, sitting on press conferences, defending the fact that you are the champion, when most people know, and more importantly, you know, you didn't fight the champion for that belt. And why would you freely choose to do it the way you're doing, to become an email champion over fighting for the belt? I don't know. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. Let me see what's going on in the chat. I know there's been a lot going on since I've been sitting here. Most of y'all probably arguing with each other. We were just going in our way here. Let me see here. Honestly, only Canelo and Tank should be fighting on pay-per-view. Yeah, 100%. Teach 100%. There's only pay-per-view fights are supposed to be for the right fights, man. Let me see here. Steph Brown says American finances. Okay, well, we already talked about basically pay-per-view isn't dead. No, hold it. Let me see here. They got to, bro. The well has dried up because they don't want to give in to Turkey. They last cash cows, Tank, Benavidez, Morel, everybody else, they trying to retire him low key. Yeah, you're right, bro. You're right. I agree with you, man. I definitely agree with you. Let me see Ross Clott. Salute to Ross Clott in the building. Let me take a moment to do a little bit of a roll call here. I haven't shouted out everybody who was in the building. SOB TV, obviously. Mr. Big Play Bray, good morning to you. Fred Muir in the building. Salute to you, fam. Delaney, fam sports in the building. Salute to you. DGO 0082 in the building. Steph Brown, salute. Good morning, my guy. Salute. I already think I said good morning to you as well. Mark, salute, Mark. Huh? What did he say here? David Benavidez says he won't get in the way of the trilogy before the fight. Also said he would fight Caleb. Then when the offer is many millions, he refuses it. Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense the way he's carrying it, man. Salute to Captain. I don't give a, you know what? If David wants to be loyal, I can never call that a mistake. I like that angle to a degree, right? If he's being loyal, I can never call that a mistake. I'll say, you know, I remember one time Joel Santana did an interview and he said, man, I'm going to be loyal, but I'm not going to be loyal. I'm not going to be loyal to my own demise, right? In other words, okay, well, you're being loyal, but how loyal are the people who represent your interests being to you to put you in a position to where you can't fight the legacy fights that you're here to fight? If that makes any sense. You know, because my thing is, what's the end game? We're in a business. This isn't the streets. This isn't family to the end, ride or die. You have endless loyalty to your wife, your kids, your mother, your your family. But at the end of the day, David Benavidez comes into this space with purpose and with goals, right? He's a prize fighter. He's driven by wanting to make the most money, but also he's a legacy fighter who's driven by fulfilling his legacy. So ultimately, yeah, man, we can play the loyalty game. We can talk the loyalty conversation, and be loyal. We can be men of honor, integrity, and stand tall and not compromise our integrity as men. But at the end of the day, David Benavidez also has the right to be loyal to his own needs and what he came in the game to have. And what is the ultimate end game for David Benavidez with this situation? How does it benefit him in the long run to become an email champion over fighting for the championship? How does that help him personally? I get how it helps the PBC. It keeps them in with that leverage. I get how it helps Samson Leakowitz to be in control and be able to dictate the terms. But I don't necessarily see how it benefits David Benavidez to take this position and stand tall on this position. I don't know, man. But I hear you, man. I hear you. Warrior Class 3 back in the super chat says everybody wants an equal share. This is what stalls boxing contract negotiations because challengers think they deserve 50-50. Put the fight on.
Whoa.
Some of that. You saw that?
Yeah, leave that there, bro.
Still coming off my chest, man.
Yeah.
Did you fix it up? You had to reset some things over there?
Yeah. But what you recently just said made a lot of sense, man. Basically, kind of what I was trying to get out. Pause. When I was explaining things, I was going into detail a little bit. But yeah, 100%.
right? You got to be loyal to yourself to a certain degree as well, man.
Well, you know what it is? Maybe he's just trying to push for more money, Clay. Sometimes it's a plan behind the plan, too. You know what I mean?
It still don't make sense though, Ray, because you don't got to push for more money. You just got to ask for it.
Exactly.
You just got to tell him you want more. It's turkey.
Right. But you know what it is? He got to play both sides, right? I got to pretend I want to be over here, but if I can get the money over here, why not? He's going to give me more money. There's a lot of speculation. Let's use the word properly going on with this situation because we don't know. And all we can do is talk about it because we don't know. And the fact that
we don't know, but there's things that make sense and things that don't make sense.
That's what I was going to say. But there's so many avenues that point to one. So many arrows that point to one street. It's crazy because when you have so many arrows pointing to one street, guess what that means? That means you're just an open book, and people are able to read you, and they're coming in with these reasons because you have left that door open for these reasons, for the skepticism, for the reality of all these things to come pointing back at you. As they say, when you point at somebody, you got 4 fingers pointing back at you, or 3, whatever the case may be. But, that's exactly what's going on here. It's like either he's trying to figure that the PBC is going to get the fight, and they'll be able to make a mega fight and more money on the pay-per-view with the winner of Benavidez or Better Be, which I don't think that even happens. Or I think he's counting on that, gambling on that. Or he's feeling that, maybe if they strip him, maybe the WBO will be next, and he'll get the WBA title. He'll be unified, and then they have to come into the man. By the time all that goes on, Clay, these dudes will be retired. And the belt's going to be scattered around. I don't think there's a possibility this even happens. It doesn't happen like that. And I think it's just a waste of time. I think it's blowing smoke. And I think he knows that the time is on the clock. So what else to do besides play hardball? And like you said, why play hardball when you just play nice? Because he has to put on the face in public to show that he's loyal to the soil, and he'll hang out over here. And like I said yesterday, if the money's right, he'll bend his knee and he'll be kissing some ass too. I'm telling you, it ain't no way he wouldn't do it for the money because everybody has a price.
Yeah. We'll see what ends up happening, man. But I do think it doesn't seem like the move to make. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like the move to make from David Benavidez's interest and point of view. I don't see why this control is needed. Why leverage? Why try to leverage something that it doesn't seem you even have? The only leverage you have right now is Mauricio Sulaiman, right? And that's Mauricio Sulaiman, in my opinion, kind of like, carrying out his own personal agenda with this whole Russian and Bivol situation. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. And I don't know why you would stand next to this. Why you wouldn't,
And throughout the interview, I mean, let's look at it this way too. Is that something that really carries on from today? Because that's something that happened almost a year or two ago with them when they wouldn't make that fight. That could be something he was speaking on with the translation and the
the Russian thing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily carrying over to today, Ray, but I'm going to say that Bivol feels that way, right? He made an interview and he feels that's what it is. And he's saying that off the strength of the fact that he can never get the opportunity before, based on the statements that Mauricio Sulaiman's made. And how interesting is it that now that I've become undisputed, all of a sudden you're activating mandatories? Since when did you guys activate mandatories? We all know the history of how you guys move with Canelo and everybody else. When did mandatories become something that you guys were out here activating and threatening fighters with and saying if it doesn't happen, you're going to strip? Since when have y'all been doing that? That's not how you do it. You know what I mean? You're known to be one of the more corrupt ones out of all the sanctioning bodies as far as how money leverages your or sways your decisions. So what are we talking about? You know what I mean? I think that's why even Turkey kind of got a little insulted by it a little bit when he told.
And that's why I said I think they're planning on the I think they're gambling on either him getting stripped and they coming to fight for the belt, or they're gambling on a purse bid, hoping that Turkey spends an extraordinary amount of money to get this fight. They're gambling on something, and I don't know what it is, but
maybe
it's transparent, bro. It's very transparent. You can see it from a mile away.
I don't know if it is transparent because it is. We don't know what's going on. We're confused.
Listen, there's no other reason for this to not go the way that it's going to go. Like I said, these guys don't need the money. They just had 2 big fights for over whatever millions of dollars. They don't need this fight over on PBC. They don't. And if they feel comfortable if he's a matchroom fighter, if Bob Arum feels that Petrevia being the champion is a top ranked fighter, he don't need to go over. Remember, cross the streets. Yeah, that shit can come back, Clay. It can easily come back. Yeah, we don't want to go over there. Y'all take the belt. We don't need that belt. We had that belt already. We don't need that. You know what? We're gonna go in this league over here. We're gonna go get that belt and say bump that. There's so many. Man, there's so many.
There's so many things, but at the end of the day, it's very simple for me. I'm not concerned with Samson Lekowitz's reasoning or strategies and nonsense. Turkey's always been a straightforward kind of guy. He just says what he says. He feels how he feels, and he moves that way. He's not here to be played with on that. He hasn't shown himself to be somebody to be played with on leveraging business, because you don't have nothing to really, like Leonard Ellerby says, you don't give me offers, I give you offers. You have nothing to offer me, zero to offer me except for your fighter. And then when he puts out a statement and says, "Listen, I'm no longer interested in David Benavidez versus boom," that's letting you know right then and there. I'd rather walk away and deal with the business that I do have, because I have so much business going on. So if you want to play this game and sit on the outside and become an email champion and fight, you know what I'm saying, light heavyweights that nobody cares about, and you want to headline and sell these $80 pay-per-view cards and still keep on putting on the good fight, put on the good fight, bro. It don't matter to me, man. And when you're ready to bend the knee, let me tell you how it goes. I'm gonna be okay with it. Won't even bring up what you did, and I'll put you right on my stage, and you'll fight who I tell you to fucking fight. You feel me? You'll fight who I tell you to fight, and you'll take the money, and you'll be happy, and you'll deal with it on that level. It is what it is. I don't care. You're playing a game. I'm not playing a game. What I'm doing is making boxing great again, making the biggest fights, putting spectacles together. And if you don't want to be part of those spectacles and you want to stay in your old outdated model of how boxing goes, quote unquote, keep on playing that game. We'll see how it plays out in the long run, because it's a marathon, baby. It's a marathon every time. It's never a race.
Exactly, especially when you hold the paper, bro.
Yeah, you ain't got the staying power to be in no marathon with me. You don't got the staying power. You don't got the ability. Turkey has the ability to buy a stock. It dropped down 50%, look like it's losing, and then come back up 20 years later and then sell the stock then. These guys don't have the ability to do that. If that stock starts dropping, guess what they got to do, Ray? They need to sell that motherfucker because they can't afford the loss. Right. You know what I mean? He has the ability to sit there and sit on it and be like, I'm gonna buy it now for $100. Oh, yo, that stock went down on you, went down 30%. You must be going crazy. I'm not. I don't even care about that money. I forgot about the money the moment I spent it. Those stocks are gonna sit right there. In 20 years, when all of a sudden those stocks go up to 200, I'll get my money then. Can you do that? No, because you need to stay liquid. You need to stay with access to your money so you can make every event. You're taking profits from one event to put on the next event. Putting profits from next, that's how you're doing. You're moving event to event. I'm not doing that. So I don't got to see and kiss your ass. You got nothing to offer me. I'm not that much of a fan of David Benavidez to go all the way out my way to let you play with my face in public.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can have it and do what you do. Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev have already undisputed champions. They've already done that. Their trilogy doesn't sit on the back of 3 times on being undisputed again. We already did it. So what you want to do?
Right.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Exactly. 1,000%.
Moving the needle. Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez kind of continue a little bit from where we were going yesterday a little bit. As far as Devin's path to victory is very easy. I think hit, don't get hit, those type of things. But Jose Ramirez looks like he's in great shape. Just saw a picture of him recently. He posted a picture online. Looks like he's in great shape. You know, feels stronger, looks stronger, in way better spirits. Listen, man, I think when it comes to this whole entire Devin Haney situation, that he's in position to do something real good right now, because he shouldn't have the pressure on his back, being that he's working with Turki Al-Sheikh. He doesn't have to he shouldn't be concerned about being exciting anymore, right? Like that shouldn't be a thing for him anymore, being this exciting fighter, selling pay-per-views, packing out arenas. Once again, if he buys into the idea of the event, the spectacle of the event being the thing that sells the seats and his money going up regardless, he shouldn't really be concerned about taking chances and going for the knockout, right? Going for everything. He should be more concerned around the victory like he was before. Do you think that's the kind of Devin we're going to see in this coming up fight right now? Do you think he's able to shake that off and say F the excitement and get right back to what got him to the big show?
Let me tell you something about any sport, and it doesn't matter if it's boxing, whatever. You lose or you win. I think in the situation is with Devin is once he feels the first punch or throws the first punch, he'll go back to where he's been doing all in the gym. He'll go back to how it feels to be a champion, and he'll get his feelings back. He'll get his he'll get that charisma, and I think he'll go in there and he'll dominate the fight. I don't see Jose Ramirez having what it takes to beat Devin besides a punch. And I don't think Jose Ramirez actually is defensively sound where he can't get picked apart. And I think that's where a lot of people see this fight happening. Jose's a good fighter. He still has enough in the tank to knock people out, and he has enough in the tank to do certain things. But it seems that he could be easily taken out of this fight, just fighting Barbosa last fight. Barbosa didn't even do much that Devin will do. You know what I mean? He stood in the pocket. He wasn't even able to land clean shots. He blamed it on it. He blamed it at staying at the division too long, but he wasn't even to land clean shots. Barbosa's not as fast as Devin. He's not defensively sound as Devin. He's actually a guy that's standing in front of you. So when you got somebody that's going to be able to use the range and use the exits on left and right, what are you going to do? You're going to get picked apart. And I think this is another fight, an example of how it happens, and you'll see another Regis in Kambosos' performance, definitely in this fight, because Devin's gonna wear it on his chest. He's probably gonna sit there and let a little contention happen. I wouldn't be surprised, because when you go swimming and you never swim in the deep end, or you have swum in the deep end and you got uncomfortable, what do? You go back to the deep end to conquer your fears. So why not do it all in the one fight and get it over with? Because I think that's the way it goes, and I think this is what we're going to see. And I don't think he's too strong.
Yeah, I think this is a fight is kind of in some ways tailor made for Devin, as long as he boxes the way that we know he can box. You know what I'm saying? Right. As long as he gets back to it, and I've thought about this last night. I said to myself, you know what? The boxing space in general, the industry, the business of boxing has turned their back on Devin Haney. He has no reason to appease them. You know what I'm trying to say? He has they put him in
Shakur said F the fans, right?
Right. Devin is going to be on that same time where it's going to be like, I'm not trying to entertain you guys like that anymore. I don't care. My investor behind me with the money loves the way that I fight. I'm going to fight the way that I fight, and you guys are going to have to figure out how to come get me. When I'm at the top of the hill, when I'm sitting on the championships and I am who I am, you're going to have to find a way to beat me. The same way you guys had to find a way to beat Floyd Mayweather. You had to find a way to beat him. He's not, he's doing this, he's pillow fisted, he's not punching like that, he's moving around the ring. Yeah, whatever you want to say, at the end of the day, he ended up being TBE. You know, yep. I think Devin is on a path to kind of carry it that way. I need to see it. I need to make sure that's where he's at. I don't want, you know what I mean? Because we could say whatever we want to say and then come fight. Not all of a sudden he was out there throwing bricks again, headhunting, and it's like, what has Devin left? You know what I mean?
Sometimes it goes down like that. You know what I mean?
100%. Let me see here. Let me see. Claymore. What does it say here? Devin needs to be himself. I believe he will rebound, just stay on even kill, approach this fight with idealism. This is a new chapter, but a mental check. I agree with you, Dennis. I would like to see that.
1,000%. Yep.
Yeah. And you're right. That is his weakness, worrying about what others think. And I don't think he has any reason to care anymore. The game has turned their back on him and made it clear that they don't care about integrity, they don't care about rules, they don't care about clean sports, they don't care about none of these things. So at the end of the day, what am I trying to impress you guys for? I'm just gonna start beating on you guys, beating your favorite fighters. And at the end of the day, you'll just be mad and you'll say I fight a certain way, but none of your favorite fighters have beat me, and I'll continue to get money because you guys will pay for the biggest fights to happen, and you'll be praying to God, to the boxing gods, that I lose every time. And the game is I don't plan on doing that. Blue blood, salute, King. Happy. I didn't see you in there, family. Didn't see you, man. Salute, family. All right, so let's go ahead and continue to move the needle. I want to talk about Shakur Stevenson a little bit right now, today. You know, I mean, rumor going around that Shakur turned down a Zepeda fight. I don't believe he turned down no damn Zepeda fight, right?
Yo, I can't wait to talk about this.
Yeah, I don't believe he turned down no Zepeda fight, but this is what I am going to say. There is a game being played with Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson can get as many bums in the ring with him as he wants, right? If he wanted to just be busy, he could be busy. He could fight right now. He can go fight Joe Cordina. He can go ahead and fight, you know, I'm sure he could fight Floyd Schofield if he wanted to double back and do that. He could fight Andy Cruz. He could fight a lot of fights right now, right? But he's in a place right now in his career where he wants to make the biggest fights, and rightfully so. Combine that with the idea of his hands where they're at. You know, I mean, each fight wear and tear on his hand a little bit more. His fights need to count, right, Ray? Like, if I'm going to fight, I want to make it count. When it comes to the big fights, Ray, it almost looks like he's getting frozen out of the game. It almost looks like that, and it almost seems like it's not a good thing that I'm looking at. I'm having a hard. It's not a good thing happening for Shakur, and it's so unfortunate. But none of the big names want to actually fight Shakur Stevenson. And what's the solution to this? What's the solution to this?
There is no solution. The only thing is they're waiting for him to look vulnerable, Clay. When somebody looks vulnerable, they want to take the fight. So, peep this. Zepeda didn't want this fight with Shakur. They've been trying to get that fight for a minute. As soon as he looked vulnerable with the dude before, Tunian. I can't even say his name.
Tunian.
Yeah. As soon as he looked vulnerable with him, what did Zepeda do? Say he want the fight all of a sudden, right? Then when he said, okay, let's make the fight happen, what did Zepeda do? Oh, I gotta have a baby. We gotta move it back. Okay, Shakur moves forward. He goes somewhere else. And what did they do? Oh, we want the fight. We never said we turned down the fight. Now, same thing they pulled now. Then Shakur said, okay, let's make the fight. Y'all was there at the dotted line, ready to make the fight happen. What'd you do? You pulled out? No, I can't make the fight right now. My hand hurt. Your hand hurt. My hand hurt. You know, we can't make this fight happen. So Shakur goes and moves a different direction. And now you're saying that you didn't make this excuse about your hand. You pulled out all these fights. Your own record of doing it is all evidence of it doing. Your promoter said it. Your trainer has said it, and you have made interviews of saying this. This is all digital library right now, bro. It's a periodical chart. Is that what it's called? When you go through the little things at the library and you flip through the cards and you can pull out the section. Exactly what it is. It's all downloaded. We can go find this information. So why are you sitting here trying to say that and give pushback that you were Shakur ran from the fight. He didn't want to fight you, this, and that. Come on, bro. We already seen what it was. Now, let's move it forward. Everybody in the division has done this with Shakur since he arrived. What he did to Yoshino in that fight has put a lot of people on notice, including Lomachenko, who said he welcomes him to the division initially. He didn't welcome him. He ran away. You know what I mean? None of these guys want this fight with this kid. And they're going to get a payday. We've seen what happened when he finally decided to call Tank out. Because remember, he stayed away from Tank after that one situation where he said his name. And Tank said, you two-faced it. You're supposed to be you in my face 1 minute, you not. He stopped talking about him. Then here you hear the fans. Oh, why he called Tank out? Why he called everybody else out? Then he calls Tank out. Why he calling Tank out? So it's like, no matter which way Shakur goes, what moves he make, he ain't getting the fights. Exactly. Frank, Pitbull, Zepeda, Loma. Who else we got? It's like 3 more fighters there. Cambosis did not know. Remember the IBO? He went out there for the IBO, Clay.
Yeah, he's been running around trying to make these fights, yeah. And there's no doubt about that he's tried. And you know, the only thing I think Shakur hasn't actually done, and I remember Shakur saying this when he said it, I thought it was so real. He said, it looks crazy that I'm a champion and I'm chasing all these guys down to fight me for my belt. It's unheard of. You guys are supposed to be chasing the champion. You're supposed to be wanting to fight the champion. This is supposed to be, but the reality is stylistically, Shakur presents a lot of issues. And for a guy who doesn't punch, who has frail hands or pillow fisted or whatever you want to use to describe him, he checks the boxes on being a boogeyman.
Right.
Like in a way I've never seen anybody check the boxes before, right? Because generally speaking, the boogeyman is the puncher, the guy who's knocking, the guy who's knocking people out, hurting people. Shakur's not knocking people out and hurting people. He's just boxing them to death. And it seems like it seems like today we have a lot of fighters in boxing more than we have boxers. And it seems like a fighter's worst nightmare is a boxer, right? It seems like a fighter's worst nightmare is a boxer. A boxer will get in front of a puncher, no problem. Like, oh, yeah, bring the puncher in. Bring the guy who wants to take my head off. I'm okay with that. I can manage that. But dealing with the actual boxer, stylistically, why do I fight him? What has he done that I should fight him? Why, you know what I mean? But the point, more importantly, being this man is getting frozen out, bro.
Yeah, he is.
At what point does he just embrace that and say, you know what? I'm just going to fight. I'm going to be busy and just make my money. Just line me up a fight. I don't care who I'm fighting against.
Do what Bud did. And another thing we got to look into consideration, right? There's one fighter that would have fought him, the one that dipped on and refused to fight. You know where I'm going with this, Clay.
You talking about Edwin?
No.
The 10 dicked on. Hold on a second. Warrior Class says Devin is fighting against his own confidence. If he wins, he will show that he's back. If he loses it, will show that he's already defeated in his mind. I agree with you 100%, man. 100%. It's his fight. It's his fight to win, and it's his fight to make happen. If he doesn't fight the right way, it's going to show a lack of confidence. He comes in throwing bricks, it's going to show a lack of confidence, in my opinion. It's going to show that he's still out there catering to people who don't care what he got going on. People who don't show no loyalty, then who doesn't support him. That's what it's going to look like, man. But yeah, back on Shakur, he looks like he's about to get frozen out, man. 100%.
Exactly. There's only one guy, Clay. There's only one guy. He's in the chat. That's what you're about to say. Who is it? I won't even say he's in the chat. I won't say it on the channel. It's too funny. But anyway.
Oh, bro. Anyway, that being said, on to the next one. Shout out to the Cardenas in the building. Salute to you, King. Shout out to Mac Majestic. I think I already shout out Dennis Ashby. Justin Watson. Salute to you, family. Shakur Park, Cat. Then man, fast. LOL. Yeah, maybe, but he's a fight that nobody wants to fight, man. And I think it's kind of like.
Did you see him playing basketball? See the clip?
Nah. Yo, fast?
Yeah. I said, yo, crazy work, bro.
Cardenas says if Devin can come in focus with a bigger and better approach, will be good. But if he come in with that same fight approach from 3 years ago, he might have problems. I believe he turned down because of his hands. I don't think he turned down any fights, man. I don't think he turned down any fights. Walaikum salam. Legacy remains.
Peace. Yes, sir.
I don't think he turned down any fights, man. But I do think it's interesting to kind of watch it kind of unfold. And I'm be real as far as being solution based. I think Shakur should move to the UK, bro.
He should.
Take his family. Move to the UK, go fight the 135 pounders out there. Go fight Mark Chamberlain. Go fight, go make the fights that are there for you to make out there, and then eventually just make your way to 140. You know what I mean? Right. And stop wasting your time on the side, man. They're just not going to give you the fight that you want, bro. They're just not going to give it to you, man.
Right.
It is what it is.
But go watch. I said there in the chat. Go watch the video, and you'll see why people don't want to fight. Yo, Shakur is very athletic, bro. Well, you go.
I mean, I don't need to see why they don't want to fight. They already don't want to fight him based on.
When I tell you, you see this, you be like, yo, I understand. You be like, I understand where his how his athletics are. Yo, you got a game, and for some when you're able to do certain things at certain points, it shows you. And I mean, I'm talking about AI, Clay. Yo, you like, wow, yeah. But
I mean, I know. I'm not gonna act like I don't. There's nothing gonna show. I've seen him play ball before. I know him and Terrence play with each other. I see what he does in the ring, Ray. I'll be honest with you. What he does in the ring is enough.
I seen him shoot the J, Clay. I ain't never seen him hit the hole like that. School 3 people at the same time. You know what I mean?
I mean, that doesn't. I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
The shift, the checks. You know what I mean? The cutting to the rim, like all that makes a lot of sense. The dribble, the handles. All that's coordination, right? Now let's put it in boxing form. That's all coordination. So now when you got that same type of ability and you could do that in the ring when you got somebody standing in front of you and you're able to create distance and attack at the same time, yo, that's a dangerous man. So, I mean, a lot of people think dribbling is easy. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be funny. A lot of people think dribbling is easy. Dribbling is not easy. It's something that you can develop. But to be a master at dribbling, you got to have full control of your hands and feet at the same time. And Shakur shows that ability when he's doing that, when he's doing his little cut to the rim. You know what I mean? The shake and bake and they get to the rim. AI style, that shows a lot. When people talk about AI being an athlete, right? They're talking about him being a 4-3 football quarterback and that scored a lot of touchdowns in high school. Right? They talk about that because of athleticism. They talk about him playing baseball in high school and being such a great athlete and stealing a certain amount of bases and breaking the record at his high school. They bring that into the equation of him being also a basketball player to the fact, Clay, is because he's able to do certain things that most people can't do in all sports, ranging because he's such an athletic and twitchy person. Shakur has the same abilities. I'm telling you, just by seeing that, and I've seen him box, obviously.
So are you telling me you didn't see that in the ring?
No.
You're seeing something on the court that's
because
a light bulb went over your head. You didn't see it in the ring?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because Shakur sometimes gets in the moments where he does close the distance and he sits there and boxes people, and he also does the moments where he sits back. He never shows hip movement and things of that nature. Bro, he has total control over everything. And it is surprising me. Yes, absolutely. I have seen it too, by the way. I have seen it when he was younger at 122. I've seen it. You know what I mean? But it seemed like he had gotten away from those things to be more of like also like you just said with Devin, we just said with Devin, right? Sometimes he wants to entertain the fans, so he'll close the disc and he'll sit there.
I don't think it's about entertaining the fans with Shakur. I think it's about what Gary Antoine said. It's about I'm not going to bring a sledgehammer for something I don't need an Allen wrench for. I think he does what he. I think he just does what he has to do, bro. And, you know, he's not going to do more than he has to do. I think that's who Shakur's always been.
Right? Yeah.
He just does, you know what I mean? He just does what he has to do, and he's not going to just go in a two-back constantly just showing everything. I mean, it is what it is. Shout out to Big Herm. Big Herm, what do you mean, did I stop all other streams? Are you talking about, what do you mean? Did you stop all other streams, Clay? What do you mean, Big Herm? About stopping the streams. I don't know what you mean by that. If you want to elaborate on that a little bit, I appreciate you, bro. Good to see you in the building, though. Let me see. Justin Watson said Shakur hits Cruz with 2 body shots in close, like a split second. LOL. Yeah, man. Shakur is talented, man. I've seen him. I've seen him in the ring do. I just see what I see. I know. I mean, I think everybody knows, right? And especially the other fighters know, because if Shakur was easy work and just food out there to get played with, you know, he'd be fighting everybody. You know what I mean? The mere fact that he has so much sparring history with some of these fighters and things of that nature, people know why they're not doing them. I used to see let me see here. Big Herm says, I used to see you mixing and matching, only seen you here recently. Keep up the great work, mixing and matching.
I guess like going to other channels and like you'd be on
you talking about Blue Blood? Nah, me and Blue still do the show. You know what I'm saying? Is that Blue got like his birthday that he been trying to set up, and he got all these different things, and he always ends up going on some late time at night. And honestly, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know, play need his beauty sleep. You know what I mean? Need his beauty sleep. It's hard for me.
Clay, you know what I mean? Clay don't like to stay up at night. I'm telling you, I could talk to Clay all day from 7 to 9 o'clock. Once 8:30 happens, he always trying to get off the phone. Yo, I gotta go. So I'm letting y'all know. When he on with Blue 10, 11 o'clock at night, he pushing it because Clay be like, yo,
listen, man, I don't like staying up late. Plus, I got a damn wife, bro.
That's what I said. He like, my woman come first. Like, shout out to Mrs. Rain. I know she in the building. But he said, yo, I'm telling you, I don't like putting people's business out, Clay.
Don't put it out.
I just want to protect the truth here. You know what I mean? Let me protect the truth.
Nah. It's all good.
Shut it down in a minute. Like, yo, I ain't trying to. Yo, I got. How you start off, Clay? Hey, yo, I ain't trying.
Yeah, I'm never trying to be rude. I'm never trying to be. I'm always trying to be polite.
Here,
I'm
bro.
definitely about to check out though for sure.
And it's only to his family, man. I'm telling you, and his livelihood. Like when he needs some sleep, he got to go to work. It's his livelihood, his family. Something happened with it's not happened, but something dealing with his kids or his wife. Forget about it, bro.
Yeah, Big Herm, we are definitely old men out here. I need my sleep, bro. And I drive a truck, so I don't play. You know, I don't know if you guys ever had to drive 10 hours over 3 hours of sleep, bro. It is not pretty, man. So we ain't playing those games. So that's all it is. So as far as like me being on, and I'll be honest with you, as far as Blue, that's the reason why. Other platforms I don't go on. I'll be honest with you, bro. There's a lot of ignorance, bro, out there, bro. And I'm just kind of above all that nonsense. I'm always down to talk about some good boxing and always down to build with content creators, but I don't got time to be arguing all the time. I don't got time to be talking over people or having people try to talk over you or all that messy, reckless nonsense that's going on here. I don't got it in me, man. It's just I'm too old for it, man. I appreciate my peace, my quiet, and I don't like acting a fool on the internet, man. I don't want nobody pulling up videos of me cussing somebody out or getting cussed out or being involved in nonsense. Brother, I'm 47 years old, bro. I'm just not with all that nonsense, man.
You got to be something else.
I'm not doing it, let me see here. Big Herm said, why not Keyshawn versus Tank? Both power punches, best fight. The reason, Big Herm, when it comes time to Tank, the only reason things ain't happening for Tank is because Tank ain't making them happen. Period. That's always what it is. It is what it is with Tank.
Respectfully.
If you got questions about, very respectfully, if you have questions about why Tank ain't fighting somebody you want to see him fight, it's because of Tank.
Yeah,
or, you know what I mean? Even if he's allowing his handlers to make the decisions for him, he's allowing them to. He doesn't have to do it. He is the A side. He's the bag. Everybody wants to fight Tank. Everybody wants an opportunity to get money. Nobody's telling Tank no. That's not what's happening. If Tank's not fighting who you want him to fight, you got to go knock on his door, send him a letter, get in his DM, and ask him why he ain't fighting him, because there's only one person who can make a fight happen with Tank, and that's Tank. Nobody else. That's how it works. That's how it works with him. It is what it is.
Where if you lose to any one of these men, absolutely.
Of course.
That's what boxing's about. I mean, bounce back or whatever the case may be. Absolutely.
Tank can lose and still be Tank. Tank can be who he's supposed to be, win, lose, or draw, as long as he fights and they're competitive. More than likely, I think more people would lean towards Tank to win these fights. But at the end of the day, you know, the risk of loss for him does not have anything to do with his legacy, his drawing power, his money. It doesn't affect him negatively in any kind of way, bro. Losing is
I'm just saying Canelo status, bro. Like I'm telling you right now, if Tank loses, he becomes a better fighter. Like he dips into the bag. He hasn't been able to pull that. I'm telling you, even when he tried to go into the bag late to the fight the other last fight, he hasn't been there, bro. He hasn't unlocked that shed yet. I'm telling you. So once he does, you're gonna see a different. If he loses, you're gonna see a different guy. You may see more aggression. You may not see slow start. You might see a different way of him fighting. Tank has always been he's actually always been a fan of him. I watched him when he first started, Clay, and I'm going to tell you, when I was watching the way he was putting these guys out, everybody tries to compare Carmel Malton to him. Tank wasn't getting hit at all in his first 14 fights. It was nobody able to touch him. So when I look at the fights of, because I think Pedraza was like really the first guy to really step to him and really give him a challenge. But other than that, man, there was nobody, and I see that still. I think he's so used to things going a certain way. You don't have to. A lot of guys, you don't have to fight like that. You know what I mean? So respectfully, Tank loses, he absolutely becomes a better fighter. He becomes Duke or UNLV of 1992, 93. You know what I mean? Taking that loss to another level and winning a championship and being dominating. Trust me, I promise you.
Yeah.
Damn, I said Duke and UNLV. 1992, 93. Nobody remembers those years, do y'all? Look. Mental. I'm an old man.
I'm gonna still say again, none of these fighters are making the fights, and the fighter after Tank or someone else's A side. Again, let's stop the hate and push for the fights you made. Thomas, go ahead, bro.
What? Hold on. What?
Let me tell you something, bro. Let me tell you something, right? To say, listen, I want to be clear, right? A question gets asked about Tank Davis versus Keyshawn Davis and why that fight isn't happening, right? The answer to the question is clear, right? That particular fight isn't being made because Tank hasn't made that fight. But there's a programming in people's mind that saying something like that is some sort of attack on Tank, right? To give Tank the actual
praise
privilege that he's earned, to say that he is the one who has to put the fight out there, which is really a compliment, and just keeping it 100 who he is, turns into don't hate Tank. What about the other guys? Why aren't these other fights being made? The interest in the fight being made is by a fan in the chat, right? Big Herm is interested in why isn't Keyshawn Davis and Tank not fighting? If they would have asked me why isn't Keyshawn Davis and Ray Moritalla not fighting, I would have answered that question. I'd have said, well, Mortala's got a fight right now. He's getting an IBF title, an interim title. He wants, and Keyshawn right now is fighting with Edwin De Los Santos. These fights are bigger fights with unifications on the line, with titles on the line. They're bigger fights. So, the handlers in this situation probably don't see fit for it to happen because we're dealing with handlers, right? But I think people have a hard time dealing with the fact that Tank Davis is different and sits in a different position than these other fighters do. And that his ability to make a fight and Keyshawn Davis's ability to make a fight, or Raymond Moritalla's ability to make a fight, or Shakur Stevenson's ability to make a fight are different in comparison to what Tank should be able to do, being that, once again, a crown that has been put on his head by his fans to say that he's a face of boxing. And people always have a hard time dealing with the reality of the fact that the face of boxing has more leverage than everybody else in boxing, because that's who he is. Right. So when people are asking for why isn't Tank involved in certain situations, to put the onus on his shoulders, to hold him accountable as an A side, which is really a compliment, the fanatics in the building feel like it's their responsibility to constantly defend this man. But at the same time say, let's push for the big fights to be made. How ironic and contradictory is that? To say push for the big fights to be made, but don't hold the A side accountable for the big fights to be made. Right. You understand what I'm saying, Ray? Like, right. How do I push for a big fight to be made and not put accountability on the A side, whose job it is to make the fight happen? How do I steer around this in a way to where it doesn't trigger you into wanting to defend or say that hatred's happening to this fighter, when the biggest fights that are to be made, one of the biggest fight that can be made in boxing today involves Tank Davis, the face of boxing, and A side to the game? How do we not hold him accountable when people want to see that fight? Now, I get it, right? Now I hear you, Thomas Hill, and we could talk about it, right? Because I get what your mission is. Stop talking about Tank. Like, I totally get it, right? Like, make all the great fights except for Tank. You know what I mean? Stop talking about Tank and being in big fights, because he doesn't look good when we have these conversations, because he's the A side and these fights aren't happening and there's only one way to talk about it. So leave Tank out of it. Talk about Abdullah Mason. Talk about Keyshawn Davis. Talk about Shakur Stevenson. Talk about these other guys, but don't talk about Tank. But here we go. We're an hour and a half plus into this segment where I've talked about Shakur Stevenson in the fights being made. I've talked about David Benavidez. We touch on Tank. We touch on him because Big Herm says, why can't we see Keyshawn Davis fight Tank Davis? And we're hating on Tank. We hover over the topic for 20 seconds. Change it. Oh God, change it. Why change it?
The crazy part, Clay.
Why change it? Let me ask you a question. Thomas Hill. How do we get Tank? How do we push? And what do we do to get Tank to make a fight that the people want to see? How? How do we get Tank into a fight we want to see him fight? How do we get that fight to happen? Because he's a face of boxing. He's a popular boxer. People want to see him fight the fights. He's the biggest topic. He is the topic. To not talk about Tank, quoting a great content creator, is to not talk about American boxing.
Oh,
right?
Not you.
Right, not me. But this is what I heard. You know what I mean? If you don't talk about Tank, you're not talking about American boxing. I don't talk about Tank. He's not in any of my thumbnails. Very rarely am I sitting here talking about him. But when I do talk about him, how else am I supposed to talk about him outside of, if you want to see him in a fight, it's on him to make the fight. What else do you want me to say? If somebody asks me, how do I see Tank in it? Why don't I see Tank in it? What is the answer to that question? Do I come off as a fanboy? Do I turn into a fanboy and say, man, don't ask me about Tank fighting nobody? Next question. Why? Am I scared? Am I on protocol or something to not answer? No, I'm going to answer the question. The answer to the question is Tank has to make the fight. That's the answer. And if that's not the answer, please share with me what it is. If you want to see Tank in a fight and he's not in the fight you want to see him in, what's the answer as to why he's not in the fight? What's the answer outside of what I said? Did I say he's a coward? Did I say that he's a lame? Did I say that he's the worst thing that ever happened to boxing? Did I say something outside of the truth? You know what I'm saying? About what it takes. Big Herm, was there another answer that made more sense than the answer I gave to you? We got to stop being that way, man. Nobody's hating on Tank, man. Nobody's hating on Tank. But at the end of the day, the reason Tank ain't fighting who you want to see him fight is because he has these fans that will automatically check you and put you in a position and make you try to feel bad or look bad for speaking on him in an honest way.
Right.
You can't speak honestly about Tank, because if you do that, you're hating on him. So he has these what do they call those guys in he has the defense team out there who is always going to defend everything he does. Therefore, what kind of pressure does he need to have a fight? So that's why you get to see him fight Lamont Roach, right? And thank God that fight was competitive. Yeah, but don't never forget, he was getting ready to give you guys Jake Paul next. Don't never forget that that's who was supposed to walk in the ring with him. He was getting ready to give you guys Jake Paul. You know where that comes from? What is everybody else doing? Don't talk about Tank. No accountability. No accountability to nobody, because the fans are going to do whatever. They're going to support whatever he says do. And I want to make it clear as well. I don't give a damn no more about who Tank fights. I don't even care. He's not in none of my thumbnails again. He's in none of my, I don't talk about him. He's in none of my topics. It's really not that exciting to talk about him, because if you're going to talk about Tank, you're going to be on one or two sides of the conversation. You're either going to be holding them accountable, or you're going to be defending the shit that you don't agree with happening all the time, right? That's it. You're either going to be on one or two sides of the conversation. You're either going to be on the honest, transparent side of the conversation, which leads to holding him accountable, or you're going to be on the other side of the conversation. You're going to be a fanboy, and you're going to defend and attack all the other fighters that want to fight him, and attack the fans and attack anybody who talks to him in an honest way. There's no middle ground to it. There's no middle ground to it at this point with Tank Davis. So I don't need to talk about it. Trust me. But if one of my people inside the chat asks me my opinion as to why we don't see Keyshawn Davis and Tank Davis getting ready to fight, I'm going to tell you straight up what it is. It's because Tank ain't send out the offer. That's why it ain't happened. Now, right now, he's getting ready to fight Lamont Roach, supposedly, even though there's rumors out there brewing about how, people are trying to say Lamont Roach is pricing himself out of the fight. I could have talked about that. I don't even talk about it because I don't even want to deal with this nonsense. Right? I could sit here and put on my thumbnail right now, Lamont Roach deserves more money to fight Tank next, blah, 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 blah. And I could have made this whole show about how Lamont Roach deserves money. He got robbed. We all saw him. Most people know he won that fight. If they would have counted that knee down, of course he deserves more money. And if Tank isn't willing to pay him more money, then Tank is doing a disservice to Lamont Roach. And Lamont Roach shouldn't fight Tank next. He should fight whoever's going to pay him the money next right now. So if the Shakur Stevenson is the fight, if Keyshawn Davis is the fight, he should entertain all his options because he's become a star overnight to a degree in a big draw for all those guys to share a common opponent with Tank and be able to beat a common opponent with Tank that a lot of people feel beat Tank.
Allegedly,
right? I could do that. I don't even do it because I already know the toxic energy is coming, right? I know as soon as I speak my truth, I'm hating on Tank. Right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm hating on Tank. As soon as I start talking the truth, I'm hating on Tank.
That's why I became the president of the Hanos clan, bro. I just thought that Devin would be a better matchup for him. And whoa, what? Take it out, Clay. What? Get over there with him. So it is what it is. And I'm not talking about you, Thomas. Trust me. I think you mean well and what you're saying. I just think that things were mistranslated a little bit because I see your comments coming back.
I think what it is, Thomas, I'm gonna be real with you, is the fact that you might feel the need to change the topic to try to push the topic away from Tank every time the topic gets on Tank, right? To turn it into like we're overdoing it, we're overkilling the idea of Tank being the A side, right? But I think it shows up in these type of situations because the conversation wasn't even a conversation; it was a question and an answer.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It didn't go any further than that, right?
Exactly.
But the fans of Tank, as soon as you guys hear his name be mentioned in a way that your instinct is to automatically tear down the conversation, and move it into another direction. Why are we talk? What about the other guys? Why are we talking about that? Why not wait for the conversation to go by real quick? Because it was actually getting ready to be done inside of a minute and 30 seconds. Was actually getting ready to be done.
I got you. I read that, but who's our fighters?
Right, and who's hating?
You did say earlier also that
who's hating though? What are we hating? Okay, you said tear down, comment and respond, blah 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 blah. Stop hating on our fighters. Where did that statement fit? When did the hating start on the fighters? When did it start? When did we start hating on the black fighters? When did it happen?
And there's black people talking to ask the question. So it can't be us hating on black fighters. We're talking about a black fighter.
When did it happen? When did the hate happen?
Black fighter.
Like, at what point in the conversation did the hate happen to where, let's remember, like, when did it happen? I don't know. It is what it is, right? But, we all hate on our fighters, and it was given but it only came out with Tank. When Tank got brought up to a degree. That's what it sounded like to me. It felt like that to me. Maybe I didn't read a couple of statements before that. Okay, in general, I hear you. I don't know where we hated on any of the fighters. I'll be honest with you. We didn't hate on Devin. We didn't hate on Tank. We didn't hate on Shakur. We didn't hate on Shu Shu. We didn't hate on.
Devin was a great topic yesterday. It was hardcore on Devin's nose yesterday.
And I didn't see nobody jumping in saying.
Nobody jumped in and said we was hating.
Well, no, there was some people that did, but not Thomas.
No, to the degree, I don't think anyone said that way. I think the question was, and I'm going to tell you, it's towards what took place. It kind of moved to that needle, right? I don't think anybody really went onto the bridge and saying, "Look, y'all out here hating on Devin, or why y'all?"
It got misunderstood. It got misconstrued yesterday because what it turned into was legitimizing the PEDs and the weight and the
that's not hating. That was just different reasonings of why the fight should happen.
We weren't even doing that, though. The conversation wasn't even about that. It was about the consequences of him losing this fight based on the fact that the whole boxing space and the business of boxing is against Devin Haney right now, right? The business of boxing is pushing back on them because of their independence and because of how they've approached the business of boxing, right? So at the end of the day, people just misconstrued it
because this is different.
Wait. People misconstrued the intention of the conversation. What we were trying to do was spark a conversation up amongst we were trying to stimulate some scholarship for us to get to the real bottom line of the situation, which is the reasoning behind Devin Haney having to win. The reason why he might be risking his career on the back end of a loss to Jose Ramirez or taking multiple steps back. The reason is because what him and his father represent in the space is independence from the promoters. Right. That he can move around from promoter and have this independent mindset and make a lot of money, and the influence he might have on the boxing space if he's over celebrated for doing that, right? And that he's a black man doing it on top of that as well, which also, you know what I'm saying, compounds the situation to a certain degree. But more importantly, it was talking about the fact that, and to highlight that Devin Haney and his father are in the crosshairs of a smear campaign, not only by the boxing fans, but by the business of boxing, that they want to push him back into position, which is get a handler, get with a promoter, sign a 3 to 5 fight deal, fight the fights that the promoters tell you to do, and stop it with this independent mindset that always aligns you with whatever you want. You sitting there, you don't like it here, you go there and get the fight. You go there and you fight. You go there and you fight. They don't like the spirit of what that represents.
And he's getting paid to do it too.
Exactly. So they're trying to
let me.
And in defense, he said, "Don't cape me like that." I got you, Thomas Hill. My bad. I ain't trying to cape you. I ain't trying to cape you, bro. But I was, but like I said, I saw the defense of, and maybe I'm triggered, Thomas. Maybe it's not just you. Maybe it's a combination of everybody, right? But with the Tank Davis situation, the reason I stay away from the conversation, and even Showbiz has commented on this, right? He says he doesn't even like talking on Tank, because as soon as you say that man's name and you speak honestly, respectfully, you don't disrespect him, you don't diss him, you don't say nothing personal, you just talk boxing, here come the Tank fans trying to call you a hater, trying to put you inside of a box and trying to paint you as something that you're not. It's so OD, you don't even want to talk about the guy no more. And it starts to feel like you guys just don't want us to talk about him unless we talk about him in a certain way. That's what it sounds like. You know, it's from the outside looking in. It just looks that way. It looks like as soon as you say his name, that's what happens on Blues Channel. Soon as you could be talking about something else the whole time, as soon as Tank gets brought up, 4 or 5 dudes pop up in there. Oh, here we go with they start up. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? For each and every name is supposedly ducking, running, and don't want to fight, and in order. I got to read that again. Let me see here. But since you commented like you did, maybe he's not talking to me. He might be talking to Justin Watson.
I think it's 2 cents.
He's talking. I think he's talking to Justin Watson. Yeah, I think him and Justin Watson having a conversation. Cool. Shout out to Warrior Class with the $5 holla in the building, man. I appreciate it again. He said, "Hey, Claymore and Ray, Blue Blood, Champ Side, and Showbiz, y'all got the best boxing platforms. Y'all can y'all put together some boxing
we'll win.
bracketology about it?
We'll win. We'll win.
Yeah,
we'll win. You gotta have a few guys in there though. Yeah, we'll win.
I appreciate the company you put us in though.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually lying. I don't know about that, but I mean, I'm pretty knowledgeable.
Shout out to Big Herm with $dollars in the building.
I don't know. Like,
here comes Bub, right? So the Tank talk started to come out. Here comes Bub. Bub, I missed you. I didn't think you was here, man. Bub's in the building, says, "It appears to us, it seems you want to keep saying the same thing over and over again, like you want us to feel the way you do. I'm saying if you not a fan, don't be, but why cry every day?" You see?
What?
See?
Yo,
you see?
Hold on, time out.
You see what I'm saying?
I talk just
guys, read that. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Number 1, put that in super chat. Number 1, let's do that. Number two, Bubs. You talk about crying every day. Anytime we mention Keyshawn, you mention Andy Cruz. Anytime we mention Shakur, you mention Keyshawn. Anytime we mention Devin, you mention somebody else. You constantly try to move the needle to get us off topic of anybody, especially when Tank Davis is sought out to be the challenger of one of these fighters, or we're just talking about these fighters in general without taking a picture. You're always moving the needle and crying about this in the chat. Constantly, bro. It's like, you got the nerve to say that? Come on, bro. Like, seriously, bro. I think somebody he
100% trolling us. I know a large part of it is that.
And I get it.
But this is as an example, right? Like Bub, I'm kind of used to Bub boxing at this point, so I know the trolls coming. I know it's coming. I know the shot's coming. You know what I'm saying? Like I was shocked to be honestly see it happen right now, but conveniently enough, we weren't talking about Tank, right? As soon as we talk about Tank, here we go. See, it's Tank against everyone. Stop it. You see? I love it. But this is what it comes down to, right? Like this is what it's all about. Statements like this. And Bub is not like the the guys I'm talking about, because Bub is actually funny. He comes in, you know what I mean? He says stuff, but he also comment on other boxing topics as well. Bub, but I'm just giving a quick example of what it is. Why I cry every day. Every day, Bub. We sit here and cry about Tank every day. Really? Is that what we doing for real? We sit here and cry about Tank every day, Bub? Come on, man. You know better than that. You know we don't even talk about that man like that. Shout out to Hoodrich, right? Hoodrich is out of respect for Hoodrich, I don't talk about Tank like that. 100% out of respect for him. That's a fact, right? Like Hoodrich is a person who I have a lot of respect for. I like him. I think he's a real good dude, and I know he's a personal friend of Tank. Off the strength of him factually, I don't come at Tank and just speak on him like that. If I don't have too much good stuff to say, I stay pretty quiet about him off the strength of him, because he frequents the channel and I have respect for him and the friendship he has with Tank. So I keep it very light off the strength of that. But still, from time to time, you speak on it. As soon as you say something, bang, you're hating.
Yo, where they at, Clay? I seen the army somewhere. I seen them.
No, I ain't doing it.
You got
we got to continue to move the needle, because believe it or not, as much as we've been having fun talking about this, talking about this, we got other topics to talk about for sure.
Exactly.
Hold on a second here. Let me see what Bubs is saying. I gotta entertain Bubs, man. Bubs said you just said Haney, Shakur, Keyshawn, all these names. Come on, Clay. You know Blue been crying about Tank since talk and moving the needle. LOL. Now Blue on Keyshawn and Shakur. You're welcome. First of all, right? And secondly, okay, that's Blue. Blue has made a lot of content on Tank, right? One way or the other. But Blue's not here, right? So if I'm talking about Tank to paint the picture like every day, that's not me, right? That's not me. I know it's not me because I intentionally make sure it's not me. That's why I know when you guys go ham and decide to defend and attack and turn it into a hate thing, it's hilarious to me, because I know I'm not even doing it by accident, because I know I'm consciously in my present mind state not doing that, so I don't got to deal with that. But I still deal with it, boom, as soon as I say something, real light. It is what it is, right? And look, Showbiz commented on it, and when I saw Showbiz comment on it, I was like, man, even he had to keep it real, like, damn, bro, we can't even talk about boxing, bro. Like, as soon as I say this man's name, here you guys come with the big, you know what I'm saying, with the Ginsu blades, you know what I'm saying, with the Japanese blades ready to cut somebody in half, bro.
The T.O. sword.
It is what it is, man. With the T.O., yeah, with the T.O. Final Fantasy sword, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It is what it is, man. Well, let's move the needle, man. Let's continue to move the needle, because, like I said, Shakur does look like he's getting frozen out a little bit. He can make all the insignificant fights he wants to make and probably make money with it at this point. And like I said, if Shakur were to move to England right now, take his beautiful wife and his beautiful daughter and take his family and go buy a house in England, become a Matchroom superstar, I wouldn't even fault him, bro. He'd make money. He'd be celebrated because they like boxers. They like boxers out there. They don't hate, you know what I'm saying? And try to make you something you're not. They love you for who you are. And he'd be celebrating. He'd make the biggest money, bro. And he'd be legacy driven and be rich. I wouldn't be mad at him. I feel bad because I'd want him to be able to do that out here. But like Thomas Hill alluded to a little bit earlier, man, we got a bad habit of hating on our fighters instead of pushing them forward. Let's move on to this fight right here. William Zepeda going into the Tevin Farmer fight. Now, we can get into the fight breakdowns right now, because I want to know, what does William Zepeda do different in this fight than he did in his last fight? What did he do wrong in his last fight, Ray, in your opinion, between him and Farmer?
It's so crazy for me to say this, Clay. I don't think he did nothing wrong besides catch that hook that dropped him, right? And the reason why he caught that hook that dropped him is because he was trying. He wasn't used to people sitting there going blow for blow with him. Like, he's used to people being in a box with him, because he walks them down, he puts them there, right? But he's not used to them firing back. And I think what happened to him was, he was like, okay, now we got to do something different. Now we got to go in here, and we don't have to box, but we need to keep his hands down. We need to make sure we work that body much more than what we did last time. We need to stop with the head combination. We need to work the body. We need to make him bring his hands down, and then we need to to get him out of there. We already know that William Zepeda is a body snatcher on top of him being a knockout artist or a person that just stops fighters and win with an exuberant amount of punches. So I don't see why or how he can't win this fight. You said, and like I said, I think Tevin Farmer is somebody I'm rooting for because of the underdog story and the way that he deserves it. You know what I mean? With all the things that went on with him and him trying to make big fights and whatever the case may be. But now we're at this moment where Zepeda has to put on his game plan. His game plan has to be continue to attack the body and get Farmer to drop his hands so he can decapitate him or just put him down. Zepeda's known for that, and we'll see how that works out when they get in the ring. Do you want me to do Zepeda?
No. One topic at a time. Okay. We're gonna jump into it. Trust me. I got this set up. I got you. Don't worry. I got you right. You're gonna have it. You're gonna cook. Trust me. You're gonna cook. Right. So William Zepeda in his last fight approached it the way I've always seen him approach fights. Pressure. What he didn't expect was the way Tevin Farmer responded to it, right? And even me, I was a little shocked at Tevin Farmer's approach to the fight, which is I'm going to mid-range this guy, smother this guy's power. I'm going to smother him, but my inside boxing game is going to shock him because my ability to punch inside of a small space and make opportunities happen inside these clinches is going to shock him. I'm going to actually hit him with power. Am I going to stop him? I don't know. But I know ultimately, as long as I know my conditioning and the way that I spar, he brought that Philadelphia sparring style into the ring with William Zepeda. And it seems like Zepeda had a hard time dealing with it because Tevin Farmer has great conditioning, bro. And it looks like he has a decent chin on him as well. Does William Zepeda approach this fight differently in this fight is going to be the question, because what does different look like? Boxing? He did everything that he normally does against Tevin when he fought Tevin Farmer last time. He fought Tevin Farmer the way he fought a lot of guys. High volume punching, pressure, body punches, trying to open up shots to the head, and ultimately try to break the will of the opponent in front of him. Well, look, I'm going to tell you right now, Tevin Farmer is not there to have his will broken. He's got strong will. He's got what they call it, Ray. That boy got that dog in him. Got that dog in me.
He got resilience.
He got that resilience. He's not going nowhere. And he's not easy to knock out. So William Zepeda's game plan, if it's the same game plan as last time, Ray, I'm going to be honest with you. He might get beat, bro. Farmer might be beat, bro.
It could happen.
Because I don't think Farmer, and we're going to get into the Farmer side of the conversation, right?
That's why I wanted to go there.
No, we're definitely about to get into it right now. But just staying on William Zepeda, we can move on from him. But just to say that, just to be on the same page, is he going to keep the same game plan or does he switch something up?
Zepeda?
Yes.
I think the plan is to attack the body this time. I think he switches up and not just fight him in the box.
You don't feel like he was attacking the body last time?
No, I think he was just throwing punches everywhere and anywhere, like just trying to.
I agree.
You know what I mean? I think he was just shocked that this guy was there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he just got out of his game plan. He just started throwing punches everywhere and anywhere to try to hurt Farmer. He was hitting him with some good shots. Don't get it wrong. You know what I mean? He hit him. He made him back up a few times. But the fact is, the guy wasn't, again, resilient. Right? He was not retreating. He was staying on his stone, and he stayed there. He did not move. And I think that frustrated him. And when you get frustrated, the game plan seems to go out of the picture, and you continue to do what works for you, what brought you to the dance, as Mike Tyson would say, and you try to leave with it. Unfortunately, he left with it, but with questions. So this time, I think he stays focused on breaking down the Farmer, because the only way you're going to get somebody that's in a box like that to stop punching you back with you is to make them put their hands down and attack the body. And I think he's going to stay focused on that. He may jab a little bit at first to kind of close distance, but I think he's going to try to put him in the box again. And I think he's going to focus clearly on the body and maybe the kidneys.
And in the last fight, there was definitely a war for who's going to be on the back foot. And the Tevin Farmer was definitely forcing him on his back foot a lot.
Right.
Was pushing him. And if he wasn't going to go on his back foot, it ended up in a clinch. Like, it was like, all right, well, Tevin wouldn't go backwards. You know what I'm saying? But we know Tevin can go backwards. We know he can move. He can move laterally. We know he has great foot movement. We know that Tevin Farmer's a great boxer. That he's not a brawler by nature. He's really a boxer. That's what we know him to be. He showed us something different. I knew he had that in him to a degree, and we're about to talk about him more, so we'll get into it. Let me go ahead and acknowledge Warrior 3. Warrior 3 in the building, killing it. Hey, you guys in the chat, man, show some love, put some color in the chat, man. Warrior 3 out here, back to back color in the chat, man. Salute to him, man. $5 at a time, man, but we gonna get there, ain't we, Warrior Class?
That's for you, bub. Put some money in the chat.
Yeah, put $2 in the chat, man. What does Blue say? Put $1 in the chat and make sure it works, or put $1 in the chat and reset the chat. I don't know what he said. Something like that. Shout out Warrior Class 3 says there's a need for boxing bracketology by division on the best boxing platform. Since ESPN will not cover it, let's elevate boxing talk worldwide. I like it, World Class. You know what? Maybe we need to work on that, Ray. Maybe we need to do that, bro.
Listen, I said something like that, right? Then I said we need to have just a big panel of just platform, just talking about boxing.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I'll probably get kicked out the room. I'll probably get kicked out the room. I'll be the first one to go.
Why you gonna get kicked out the room?
Listen, though I'm knowledgeable, you know what I mean? My thoughts sometimes get crossed, and then
there you go, 2 cents in the building with the $2, man. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
That's all I'm saying, man. I swear, $2. I swear, bro.
Staying along Word Class, but
That's it. Show a little love, man. Thank you, 2 cents.
Sometimes I get distracted with words, and then I say the wrong things, and there we go. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, get to stepping exactly, and then they be like, "Yo, Rick, what are you talking about?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Listen, it happens, bro. It really does. So it's cool. And we try doing that too. We try bringing the platforms to us. We try to bring certain people up that are knowledgeable. And
I haven't tried as hard as I could. I think I can get some people. I think a lot of people just ain't. You know what I mean? A lot of people.
Some people don't like. They don't like the conversation, like in a debate sense of a bracketology. You know what I mean? They
want to be an argument.
Conversation, right? So you know what I mean? It all depends. But I'm all for it. I'll win that shit, Clay. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It is what it is.
I'm the best of the best, and you can tell them all. Let them all know. Actually, I'm going to tell the truth. I think Champ Side would be the only dude to run me out of the bank, bro. And I ain't lying. Shout out to Champ. Listen, I think I could out talk showbiz. I think I could definitely give Blue a run for his money. Champ Side, that dude he be digging.
So what is the bracketology? What are we talking about? The bracketology. What do you mean?
Deep information in boxing, and that's why I said Blue. I mean, you.
What do you mean? What do you mean bracketology? I just want to understand. Like, give me an example, right? Give me an example real quick.
So an elimination. So like the NCAA tournament or in NFL playoffs, you have a 1 versus 6. You know what I mean? And you guys.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking it is.
Yeah.
So how is that competitive to a degree? I don't understand.
What he's saying is, you know what I mean, the battle of debates, like it just be like some type of like information, like building on topics and whose topic is better, who explains it better, who gives the information better. They win, they move to the next round, and another topic comes up, and then you know what I mean, it's cool. And it doesn't even have to be
I see what you say. I see what he's saying now. I was thinking about something else. I thought it was something else, man. I thought it was something else. I ain't gonna lie.
But okay. I get it. He got Joe. Yeah, press 1, man. Shout out to the Champ Side, man. That dude, listen, man. That dude's an intellectual, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I peeped this game a long time ago.
Champ is super intellect, man. Very sweet.
Man. And it's crazy because he keeps it real, like where he came from, which is cool. Because I think a lot of us do. Don't get it wrong, but we also have to keep it professional, right? He keeps it professional, but he like, yo, I'm staying lingering right here to where I came from. I'm not going to clown and do this and do that, and I'm all for that. Like you do the same thing. A lot of people don't realize, man, this is you. You know what I mean? Like they don't realize this is you. This is no fake Clay. But let me tell you something. There's 2 sides to everybody, and some people have to be like, yo, that grown up stuff is here. Don't make me get childish, because I can get childish, but you know what I mean? So I think we all on board with that, Clay. And I think just Champ Side he just like, yo, I just don't give a Mickey Freaky, as my boy Thomas Hill would say. And he just gonna say what he gonna say. You like it, take it. If you don't like it, too bad, take it. And that's it. You know what I mean? Shout out to the brother though.
No doubt. So look, back on topic. Back on topic. So yeah, William Zepeda pushing back Tevin Farmer, attacking the body a lot more in this fight, breaking him. Do you see him stopping Tevin Farmer?
Body, if he pushes him back, he gets the body shots off. Hits him with the right combinations and the high output in the body. Absolutely, he could fold him up. Do I see it happening? Is the question. No. I can't tell you why until we touch Tevin Farmer. But
right, so
no.
Let's get into it, man.
All right.
Tevin Farmer put on a great performance against William Zepeda. He really showed, to me, Tevin Farmer showed me the same energy. He showed me a lot of Shakur energy to a degree, right? Like, he showed me the ability to stay inside close quarters with William Zepeda, trade shots with him, hit him with shots, and not be hit. But he did get hit. He got hit a decent amount in this fight, in that last fight. In this fight, I would definitely think he would want to be more defensively responsible, but he's also a very cerebral fighter. I don't think people understand Tevin Farmer is very cerebral.
Right.
He should very well come into this fight with a whole different game plan and just operate off the aggression of William Zepeda in this fight and be like, I know he's coming in over aggressive. He's coming in to prove a point. His pride is on the line. He's had to rematch me. Can you see Tevin Farmer winning this fight off the back foot?
Yep. I can see him winning in multiple ways. That's crazy. One, he can see things that Zepeda can't see because his eye way over here. But that's beside the point. In all seriousness, no. What I think is Zepeda, what Tevin Farmer has done in his last fight is Tevin Farmer put on massive amounts of weight. I don't think I've ever seen him that muscular and massive before. So I think that was one of his things he went in the fight with realizing that, look, I'm gonna have to withstand a lot of these punches. I'm gonna have to have my my ground, my stability. And I think he did that the right way. And I think Tevin Farmer was able to withstand the battle mentally, not so much of physical.
Let's get the likes up, guys. 49 people in the building, man. Don't forget to hit that like button. Super important. Hit that thumbs up.
Yes, sir. But I think his mental fortitude was, I know I'm going to take punches, but I have to stay there and be disciplined. And I think with that mentality, he put on, he frustrated William Zepeda and made that fight closer to what it should have been, even with the knockdown, because it gave him an option. And once he felt that he knocked this guy down, he was vulnerable, and he's not just all punches and bunches. Even though that, like I said, he got rocked a few times, he still stood his ground and came right back. He's like the kid that just you took his bike from him, and even though you're holding his head down, he's just swinging at you trying to get his bike back. And he's a smaller guy in the room. He still kept going. You kick him, he comes back. He keeps coming back. You're like, yo, just get this guy's bike back, bro. He ain't gonna stop. So Tevin Farmer has shown resilience. He has shown the ability to do a lot of things, and we've seen him box off the back foot with Maratala. We've seen him box around the ring with other fighters. So Tevin Farmer looks to come into this ring, and I think he's going to come in a little bit more slim, right? I think he's still going to put the weight on, but I think he's going to come a little bit smaller, and I think he's going to use that lateral ability to catch Zepeda from the blind side, to try to put him back down on his pockets and shock the world. He has a very good opportunity of doing it. I do believe, like I said, Zepeda may win this fight, but I am rooting for Tevin Farmer because I want to see him knock him down. I want to see him hit him with blind shots like he did that one shot. You know what I mean? And you catch him with the counters, because I think his hands are definitely faster when it comes to throwing the counter off of Zepeda's onslaught. So he was picking the shots, and I think he's going to do the same thing here. And I think this will be the difference between him winning and losing.
No doubt. I agree with you. I think there's multiple ways that Tevin can go ahead and take this fight. I definitely think he can use his movement a lot in this fight. I think there's space for him to do it. I think he's earned the respect of William Zepeda already. He's earned it by the way he fought him last time. I think William's going to come in to overdo it, or potentially come in to overdo it. This fight, I'm going to see if William Zepeda can tap into that cerebral energy and be a tactician in the fight and deal with a fighter like Tevin Farmer, who I still believe is a better tactician than he is, right? If he does that, I'm leaning towards Tevin Farmer to get the win in a situation like that. I don't think he can outmaneuver and out mentally, you know what I'm saying? strategically take Tevin Farmer out. I think his key to success is muscling, power, pressure, picking up the pace, breaking the body down, breaking him and getting him out of there. If he turns this into a boxing match, I think Tevin Farmer is going to be catching and shooting all night and just working him and moving around and frustrating him. And I think at some point in the fight, if you see him doing that, what you're going to see is him chasing Tevin Farmer down instead of cutting the ring off and getting exposed in a bad way.
Correct.
I'm leaning towards Zepeda to a degree, but this is like a 55-45 fight to me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's close like that to me, where I think Tevin has just got more tools in his bag, opinion, than William Zepeda. William has like two tools. He has like one or two, maybe three. You know what I mean? He comes to fix the problem with a wrench, a hammer, and a screwdriver. And if he can't be fixed with those three tools, he might not be able to fix the problem. Yeah, Tevin got the socket wrench set. He got the wrench. He got the Allen wrench. He got the hammer. He got the sledgehammer. He got the saw. He got the, you know what I mean? He come with spackle. He come with paint. He got extra paint in the back of his truck. He's the handyman who could probably not have to go to Home Depot to fix your problem when he comes to crib. I probably got it in the truck. I probably don't get it done. What it is. You know what I mean? So, it's going to be interesting to see this fight. I think you're going to see a way more confident Tevin Farmer in this fight, but I think he's super intelligent, and I think people sleep on that. I think what he did with William Zepeda in that last fight showed how intelligent he was. He was very intelligent. He had a strategy customized for William Zepeda, and I think you can expect him to have a strategy customized for a William Zepeda that he's been in the ring with for 12 rounds. He has a lot of data to work off of, man.
Right.
A close fight, man. Very competitive fight, man. Very.
Here you go.
Oh, what are we doing? Oh, yeah. Shout out Warrior Class, man. Shining and showing out, man. I appreciate you, brother. Back in the super chat, Warrior Class says, it's like the NCAA bracketology, but with real boxing brackets, when brackets then with your platforms debated out. Put the fight on in my Floyd Schofield Sr.'s voice. Okay.
Hey, basically what I was saying.
Yeah.
But we can't go head to head. We got to meet at the championship, Clay. So we have to be like
we end up where we end up, right? We end up where we end up.
We definitely got to fix it. We sure. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when it comes to logic, man, I'm not going to defeat you. We already know that, man. We were around this been many times, but when it comes to some facts, I may have you thinking a little bit, and I may be able to persuade you. So you know how it is. We've been around these corners one too many times, but yeah, man, that's
clock on them.
It's interesting.
Yeah, definitely is. So let's get into Michaela Mayer versus Sandy Ryan going into this fight right now. They've already had a face-off, I believe, yesterday. And, Sandy Ryan seems a little not media, not very, very shy in the media. She doesn't like the cameras, the pictures. I don't know if she thinks she looks good, doesn't look good, if she thinks she talks funny. I don't know what the thing is about her, but she doesn't do well in those situations. Michaela, on the other hand, Mayer's super media friendly, right? She's super in front of the mic. She's super articulate. She loves to talk her ish. She's good at that part of the game. So and I say that just to say that on the surface level, looking at it, it might look like Sandy Ryan is fearful of Michaela Mayer. But I think that's the furthest thing from the truth, because here she is back in America after being painted, getting paint thrown her. She didn't fight for this fight to be in the UK, right? She's like, yo, you won. We can fight it where you want to fight it. Now, we're not going to fight in New York again. You know what I'm saying? To where clearly, you got those supporters, but she's back in the building regardless, back in the country. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of fearless about her. But Michaela Mayer seems to believe she sees fear in her and plans on approaching this fight and probably taking advantage of that. But Sandy Ryan saying that, she's trained. This is the longest camp she said she's had. 11-week camp that she's had, she said, and feels more prepared, in the best shape of her life, right? Michaela Mayer also eyeing Undisputed, wanting to put a fight together against Lauren Price for Undisputed, because Lauren has the other belts. If she beats Lauren Price, she becomes Undisputed, a welterweight, I believe. She'll be an Undisputed welterweight champion. So she's eyeing that and has a lot on her plate as far as what she plans on doing. And I question as to whether or not she might be looking past a Sandy Ryan, right? Who last year fought Michaela Mayer tooth and nail in a very competitive fight. And some people thought Sandy edged out the win. I wasn't one of those people. I was okay with the decision. I thought Michaela won it, but Sandy did make it very competitive. Going into this fight, Ray, I mean, where do you see this? I mean, we talked about it already, but what does Michaela have to do specifically? Michaela has to do different in this fight than she did last fight.
Well, I think she's back with Coach K, so that's one thing. I think the defense is step up. The problem is her offense has always been the same and will always be the same. She never changes her cadence. She never changes a lot of things, so it's kind of easy read for a lot of fighters when she's fighting. That's the one thing about Michaela Mayer. But the problem is she has power. And she has some ability to move and shift in the defensive side, so that helps her. She's almost like let me see, almost like a Cotto in a way. Like, Cotto was more of a walk down guy. I'm trying to think of somebody that has a little shiftiness in their defense, but yet really can put on the power shots when they land them. Bud, in a way, you know what I mean? Bud does it. Bud's very shifty, quick on the defense. But then when it comes out to him punching, he's very accurate. Bud does switch it up, though. He changes the cadence. She does not. She keeps it 1-2, 1-2-3, 3-4, 5. She throws the patterns, and people read these patterns by the sixth round or the third round. People have figured her out. So I think Michaela has to step in and start changing cadences. She has to put different punch packages together. And she has to, it helps to say that she does follow the game plan. That's why this happens, right? You follow the game plan, you do what the game plan is. But she doesn't seem to always fall to a plan B or a plan C. And I pause on a plan B, y'all. That's not funny, but she doesn't seem to fall into those categories. You always seem to stay in one gear. So for Sandy Ryan already knows what these things are that she's expecting. Sandy Ryan does know that there's something there that she has to be able to hit her. She has to be there to make it hurt. Michaela Mayer. Michaela Mayer has been beat before. Sandy Ryan has to come forward. She has to stay pressing. If she's not able to do so, it's going to change the fight outcome anyway. It's going to give Michaela a big opportunity of winning. And Sandy doesn't look like she's interested in this fight, period. She just doesn't look like she wants to be there. She looks like she's just there because it's a rematch and she feels that she's been robbed and everybody talked her into it. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like her head's in the game. Maybe it's jet lag, Clay. I don't know. Whatever the case may be. But for some reason, she just doesn't seem like she's in the spirit of this fight. She may surprise us and do something different. But like I said, she has to walk down Michaela Mayer. She has to make Michaela Mayer understand where she's at in the ring. And take those cadences away, parry those shots, and be able to hit her flush on the chin and take away the body and keep her still. If she can't do that, it's going to be all over again. Michaela Mayer walking out with a win, no matter how the fight looks to the fans' eyes.
Love the breakdown, man. Yeah, man. I keep it. I'll keep it a little more simple because since you check so many boxes, man, I'm not going to just repeat everything you said. I'm just going to say that Michaela Mayer is. I agree 100% on the fact that she's predictable. She's readable. You know what I mean? She keeps that same thing. She doesn't change it up, but she's very effective with it, and she's decent on her defense. I found that Sandy found a lot of success fighting Michaela with the pressure, going in and punching while Michaela was punching, right? And finding herself at times on the side of getting the better of Michaela at points in time. But at the same time, Michaela was also sitting up in there throwing her shots and catching Sandy with some heavy shots, but still looking like Sandy was able to smother a lot of the offense that Michaela wanted to have. I also agree with you that Sandy does look a little, I don't think she doesn't look like she's into the fight, but I think she's gotten to a point to where she's acknowledged all I can do is what I can do, if that makes any sense. What I can do is what I can do. What I can't do is I can't do it.
Right.
What I got is either going to work. She seems like she's come to peace with the fact that she could lose this fight based off the limitations that she has as a boxer. Whereas Michaela is more, like as we said earlier with Tevin Farmer, having more tools in the bag. I think Michaela has more tools in the bag. And I think Sandy Ryan is more of a fighter at the end of the day, and then she's going to come in and fight. But being a fighter and the boxer, normally the boxer is able to handle the fighter and take advantage of the fighter's lack of discipline, recklessness, you know what I'm saying, the ability to bait him in and deal with the fact that they're a one-dimensional fighter.
Right.
But I believe in this fight, parts of this fight, she can play the William Zepeda role. She can break Michaela down, keep the pressure on Michaela, frustrate Michaela, clinch her, you know what I'm saying, in those shaky situations, and ultimately maybe take away Michaela's best attribute, which is her ability to control the pace of the fight. Right? Her ability to control the pace of the fight with her cadence. If she takes that away from her, then ultimately I think Sandy Ryan could get a victory in this fight. But I do lean towards Michaela Mayer to win this fight. I think she is going to be able to do exactly that. I think she's going to be able to control Sandy Ryan. I think Sandy Ryan needs more grit and she needs more determination. And I don't know if it's there right now because, like you said, it looks like she's kind of deflated a little bit. And I don't feel like, because I say deflated, but take it very lightly from me, because I do think she's going to be very fiery inside those first 3 to 5 rounds. You know what I mean? I think she's going to be a very fiery person, but I can see, the air get pulled out of her sails, bro, and she can kind of just end up in placid waters. You know what I'm saying? In Lake Placid, no wind, and just kind of getting picked apart and frustrated by what Michaela brings to the table.
I agree, and she can't maintain. I don't think she can maintain it either, Clay. I just happen to agree. It's real. You know what I mean? It's real.
Yeah, I think she's going to be. I think it's going to be a real great fight inside those first 3 to 5 rounds. You're going to see Sandy wilding out, doing things crazy, but I think there's going to come to a point to where Michaela is. I think the cerebral nature of the way she approaches the sport is going to frustrate Sandy, because I don't think Sandy can compete with her in a cerebral way, and I think she will get frustrated with herself mid-range fight. Right? Just get frustrated with the fact that she caught me with that again. She's doing this thing that I can't. She keeps doing this thing. It's cheap and get frustrated with the fact that how effective Michaela's approach is going to end up being.
And it's called championship pedigree, man. And that's like, you know what I mean, knowing how to control the person across the ring from you, take them out there fight.
Yeah, L-Dub says Sandy looks fine to me, lean and in shape. Just because she's socially awkward doesn't mean she ain't mentally ready. I agree with you. I think Sandy looks in great shape. She's had a great camp, but I don't think Sandy's issue is the physical thing. I think it's the mental thing. And what I mean by that is she's not going to adjust. She doesn't adjust. She's just going to push harder at what she does. She's going to push harder. That's what she does. She's not going to. I haven't seen her do that. And I don't mean mentally weak as far as,
destructive.
I don't mean mentally weak as far as giving up per se, even though I do think you might see her give up to a certain degree. And by giving up, what I mean is she's just going to go all in on what she does. She's not
right.
Maybe I'm using the wrong words.
So
there'll be points in this fight, Dub, where she has to adjust. I don't think Sandy's built like that to adjust. I think her answer to the problem is going to be forcing the square peg into the circle. She's not going to pull away the square peg and be like, this ain't the right peg. Let me go get the circle peg and put the circle peg in. She's going to keep just bang and bang and bang that square peg and try to break the circle and force the square peg into there, if that makes any sense.
Right. Exactly. So basically what I'm hearing from you, and I guess I can sum it up, is she's going to lose enthusiasm and she's just going to become impatient. And once you become impatient, you start losing clarity of what your focus is. And I think that's what you're kind of alluding to. But I agree with that 100%. And I can see that. You know what I mean? If it doesn't go her way in the first couple of rounds and she starts thinking about certain things and what the judges are thinking and things, because you remember, these are fighters, they're human beings too. At the same time, they start looking and thinking certain things when things are not going away, when the crowd is screaming, when the manager in her corner is telling her to do this or do that. Hey, you're getting caught with this. Now she starts thinking about it. And once you start overthinking is when you start shutting down. When you start shutting certain parts down, that means you start focusing on certain things. And when you focus on certain things, that's when it becomes a problem and an issue. And nobody, you know what I mean? It is what it is. It's boxing. And that's what happens. It's a mental game first. And then it's a hit, don't be hit game.
No doubt. So we'll see how that fight pans out. Let's move the needle on to Norman Jr. first title defense, man. Oh, Brian Norman Jr. A lot of
Jr. No, go ahead.
Brian Norman Jr. got a lot of attention for himself based on that messy Boots Ennis negotiation. A lot of people feel like he priced himself out of that, and some other people feel like he was well in his right to ask for the money he was asking for. But he got a lot of attention and ultimately has an opportunity to build off that momentum with this fight here against Derek Cuevas. Derek Cuevas coming out of Puerto Rico, a decent fighter, but you know, I don't know that much about Derek Cuevas, to be honest with you. I watched some of his fights, and he's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. I don't think that the Brian Norman who beat Santillan is necessarily the formula to beat this guy. I don't know if that's necessarily. I think he might need to box and punch a little bit more than just sit in mid range and just overwhelm him the way he did with Santillan. The last fight he fought before Santillan was, hold on, let me look at it real quick here. Because in that fight, he kind of looked pedestrian. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think there's a chance you could see that again. Because he looks very against Figueroa, the no contest fight, right? He looked real pedestrian in that fight, and he had a unanimous decision over Quentin Randall. But once again, just, you know, seems like he wanted to force the fight and make it a dirt, I don't want to say dirty fight, but just wanted to make it more of a you punch on me, I punch on you fight. And I think Derek Cuevas is going to approach this a lot different than Santillan did. I still favor Brian Norman to win the fight, but I think Brian Norman's going to have to be able to adjust in this fight. And I don't
agree.
I don't know what the game plan is, because when you hear Brian Norman Sr. talk about it, you hear him talking about a left hook, that he's always trying to land a left hook. That's what it is. All you got to do is duck the left hook. And Brian Norman talking about stopping him. I don't know if that's all he has is a left hook. You know what I mean? From looking at his fights that he had, even against, his last fight was against Marlon Aguas, and he's all his last couple of fights is ending in stoppages, but he seems like he's more of a puncher boxer. What do you feel about it?
But I'm gonna actually tap into what you we're talking about Norman, or we're talking about Guerrero.
Oh, Derek Cuevas and Brian Norman, but Brian Norman, as far as his ability to adjust and fight the fight that
right. So the fight he got knocked down in. That was basically how I would see this fight going. It's like the same exact fighter. I think this is a mental take on this fight where he wants to get some like clarity of what type of fighter he is. He has been outpointed before, and Brian Norman is kind of like a strange fighter to say. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. He's a strange fighter. He has like different shifts in his fight. Like he's changing gears, and then he goes back and just sits on cruise control. But he sits at cruise control at the wrong times. I could see him getting very comfortable in this fight, and then looking to land a big punch on Cuevas. And I don't think that will be reluctant to win this fight exactly. You know what I mean? Because Brian Norman's father, per se, is a very good advocate of who he can and who he can't, you know what I mean, beat in a sense of he believes his son is this all out great boxer that can do everything in the world that the kitchen has to offer. So everything that's in the drawer, Brian Norman can do. But we haven't seen that yet. You know what I mean? We just seen resilience, we've seen toughness, and we've seen grit. Does he go into another bag? Does he go into another situation where he can be a boxer, and I mean an outside boxer, not so much of a stand on his toes boxer, and win a fight? That's what it comes down to with Brian Norman. If he tries to stay in the center of the ring with this guy, I mean, it can go one of two ways. It can go him going down, or it can go Cuevas going down. Cuevas is coming off a long layoff, so this is an advantage for Norman, even though Norman has fought in a year. And it's an advantage for him. So it's a great opportunity for him to make that statement. But at the same time, has this guy been training? Has this guy been boxing outside the circuit? Has this guy been doing things that we don't know about, where he can come in here and put something together and hurt Brian Norman early. It's an opportunity. And you know what they say, Clay, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Rocky moments. When you get that opportunity, it's time to step up and get up. And if you can't, then lay down. So I think this is an opportunity for Cuevas, and I think it's something he wants to do to represent his country. Whether he hits or miss, I think he's going to give it his all. And it's up to Brian Norman to come ready for what's coming what's coming forward for him to fight. Because if you don't know what you're going against, it's hard to see. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So, or I said that wrong, but I'll fix it later.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a very good fight. I think it could be fight of the year candidate quality fight that happens between those two guys. I think they'll go back and forth, but I think Cuevas has great timing. He has the way he's able to throw his combinations. He throw 2-3 punches at a time. He doesn't mind attacking the body. You know, you got to watch out for that left hook for sure. That's probably his bread and butter of what he brings to the table, but he sets it up very well. He's very good at setting it up, and he has decent footwork. He can frustrate you. You know, he can be fast, deceivingly fast at times as well. I mean, he definitely knows how to put together the power to hit you with a lot of good shots.
Yeah.
We got to see what Brian Norman Jr.'s game plan, his strategy is. We've seen him fight, but he's up until that fight with Santillan, you know, he seemed kind of one-dimensional to a degree. You know what I mean? Kind of one-dimensional to the degree. But he did something different with Santillan. But at the same time, those fights are great fights. They look crazy, you know what I mean? The blood and all that stuff. But, you know, Santillan didn't need to fight the way he did. He could have fought differently. And I think Cuevas is going to be very different than Santillan. And I hope he hasn't drank his own Kool-Aid. Like I said, the Normans have had a very action-packed last year and a half with all the attention they got with the Boots Ennis situation, and pretty much came stars overnight because they weren't even favored to win that fight against Santillan. They went in as the underdog in that fight and were able to turn that fight into what it is. But is he really the best or top 2 or top 3 fighters in the welterweight division, Brian Norman Jr.? We're going to find out on Saturday.
That's true.
Because he wasn't that before he fought Santillan.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't.
Yeah, exactly what I was trying to say. There you go again. Yeah.
Right? Like he wasn't that star. He wasn't the top 3, top 4 welterweights in the division before that fight. He wasn't. He just wasn't. So let's see if he can.
Keeping the strap makes you different, man. You know what I mean? You fight different.
That's what they say.
But what belt does he have? The WBA, WBO?
Yeah. The upset 2 cents, they picked Cuevas for a reason. Yeah, Top Rank picked Cuevas for a reason.
Exactly. And guess what? Could be the wrong pick. This is a strong wrong pick scenario. Listen, they picked Brian Norman for a reason, Clay.
Mm-hmm.
For Santillan. They picked him for a reason.
Exactly. And it turned out to not be
it turned out to be wrong. So yeah,
we got to see what happens.
Twice a day, man.
All right, Shu Shu wants in by any means, man. By any means, Shu Shu's talking real. He's talking the way I want him to talk, to be honest with you. It's the way I always want him to talk, but he's still writing checks. He's talking very heavy, right? And he has a real fight in front of him. I believe Enrique Vivas, I want to say his name is. But listen, man, he says he wants all of them. But he said he wanted Stephen Fulton. Then he said he wanted Nick Ball. Now I've even him said he wants Rafael Espinosa, because I was wondering why he didn't ask for Rafael Espinosa, being that Rafael Espinosa, that he's number 1 in the WBC rankings. And this is actually, I believe, a WBC eliminator fight that he's fighting right now. But he wasn't saying Rafael Espinosa's name. I think he's kind of saying the name now, probably a little self-conscious and understanding that people look at him like, why you ain't saying Rafael Espinosa? But at the end of the day, after this fight, he wants a belt. He wants to get in the conversation. He wants to be in the conversation for Monster Inoue, for unifications, for undisputed, all the above. There's only one way to do that, and that's to get you a belt, man. This fight is a big fight. How do you see this fight going? Do you know anything about Enrique Vivas, by the way?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with him.
Listen, Top Rank be fighting these fighters definitely in the back of cab cars, bro. They pay the driver at the taxi to pick people up and bring them to the arena. I ain't gonna lie to you. Oscar does that too.
Hold on a second. Let's look at this guy's record. He's 23, 3 losses, 0 knockouts. Only lost by decision, 12 knockouts. Let me see here. Yeah, he's pretty much won and lost. He's hit or miss, right? This should be a pretty easy fight for Bruce Carrington. There's a fight for him to look good. This is a fight setting him up for the championship fight, right? Like,
yep.
That's what it is. They ready to see him go up there and go get a belt.
Look like he had brain surgery, bro.
He got his head split to the white meat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, got the fedora arm to the forehead, bro.
Yeah, this fight just looks like the fight that's just there for him to win. Like, it doesn't seem like
absolutely.
He shouldn't have a hard time in this fight. If he has a hard time with this fight, it's not going to be a good look for him.
First of all, his name is the Ejector, bro. Like, come on, bro. Pause.
Yeah, El Ejector. No, Ejector.
Yeah, ejector.
I mean, like,
it's translated the ejector. Like,
oh, that's not what it is. Is that what it means?
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's exactly. Come on, bro.
I don't know, man. Not much to say on this, man. Shu Shu needs to take this next fight for a championship belt. I think it'll probably, in my opinion, be Stephen Fulton. I don't think it's gonna be Nick Ball.
Yo, I remember him when he fought George Gonzalez. I remember that fight.
And George beat his ass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a wash. It was like I think it was a 10-round fight. Yeah, he got
once a year. Wash. He's been fighting like once a year too.
Yeah, he about to get stepped on, bro.
That he's supposed to get stepped on for sure.
No, he's about to get stepped. Like it ain't gonna be close. Yeah. And if Shu Shu lose his fight, bro,
he gonna take a couple steps back.
Boy, he gonna go back. Yeah, way back. Forget the
truth. Emiliano Vargas, bro.
What about him?
This kid is supposed to be a star in the making.
That's right.
Is it about time that he steps up after this? Is this his last soft touch?
Man, he should have been fighting competition, Clay. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, man. It's about time for him, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I like what I see when he's in the ring, but he hasn't been in there with anybody that's shown me exactly who he is. And in this fight he got coming up right now, I mean, for me, I don't know who this guy Giovanni Gonzalez is, bro. Never heard of him. You know what I mean? 20 wins, 15 knockouts. Pretty much lost his last fight, coming off of a loss, where he lost a unanimous decision. What's Emiliano doing, bro?
Well, he's going to use exactly his tools that he got in the bag, right? He's going to outpoint him. He's going to be quicker to the punch. He's going to hit him on the button a couple times. Always living dangerously because he walks in with no guard. You know what I mean? He's always living dangerously, but he's going to use his tools that he always has. His offense is his best defense, almost a Kambosos style fighter. He just happens to be really quick with his hands, and when he does back up and come to his defense and he starts moving backwards a little bit, he's very protective of his core. You know what I mean? He puts the top of his head down, he blocks low, he just protects the core, and then he moves out the way, clinches, and then he moves back into the fight with the onslaught of rights and lefts. I think Emilio is on point. I'm going to tell you what I think this game plan is, and you tell me if I'm crazy or not. I think this game plan is to try to get into where his father's record was there. What his father was like 21 straight wins or something like that. As a prospect going into championship fights under a certain age bracket. I think they're trying to put him in that same category. So I think it was like 19-0 by the time he hit 21 or 22 or something like that, and that was like some type of record. I think we're seeing the same thing here. I think they're trying to put him in that category to build him up to that same stature of his father. And we'll see if he's up there, if he can do all that. But man, it's like stepping on cake, bro.
Yeah, I mean, this is his last soft. It should be his last soft touch. I'm not really trying to do none of that. Like,
he can fight.
I'm doing an interview and he says he's trying to get himself in title contention by the end of the year. He's trying to chase titles down. Bro, you better get some experience because to me, he looks like a fighter who's on the verge of ending up like Edgar Berlanga.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do what he's, you know what I mean? Like he's gonna end up looking good, but it's gonna be artificially flavored.
Orange juice, right? He's gonna get a journey. He's gonna get a journeyman, or as Dub said yesterday, a gatekeeper or somebody that's gonna push a real good challenge on him and a possible loss. He's gonna
get exposed if he waits too long to up the competition. He's gonna get exposed. I like it, man, but I ain't gonna lie to you. They need to put him in the ring with some competition, bro. And he's not getting that. He's not getting that. Abdullah Mason is being developed the right way, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? They're upping it up. He's fighting Giovanni Cabrera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're upping it for him right now, and they're getting to that point. And you would think that he'd be in the same space as Abdullah Mason. They're like the same age.
Yeah, they're supposed to be.
But he was active last year. He fought 4 times last year, but against 4. You know what I mean?
Right. And the crazy part is, Clay, too, is that they got him out the way of Abdullah Mason.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what they did.
It's crazy that happened, right? Like they were on the same. They was on the same side of the road, driving up the same highway.
Right, both top ranked.
Like, no. Take this left here, go up to 140, and then we're going. Yeah, no.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with him. But this fight right here is going to be easy work for him. It should be easy work for him, and it should definitely be easy work for him. But after this, it should be his last soft touch.
Yeah, Fernando was a special monster until he ran into that damn right hand.
Well, you got to kind of expose to a degree too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because like I said, what was his Thomas? Actually, I can look it up. Fernando Vargas. I know he had some crazy record at a certain age, and it was like something crazy. Something crazy. And I remember them talking about it. Even when he beat Winky Wright, which I don't think he beat Winky Wright, that was a crazy. They took the title from Winky Wright, bro. That was a crazy win, bro. But it is what it is. Anybody tell me I'm wrong with that? Anybody? I think that he beat Winky Wright straight up.
Let me see his first couple fights. I think all the way up until
I think 22-0 or something like that, right?
No.
Too many of them, man.
You might be right. Yeah, he finished his career 26, but he lost 5 fights. He lost his last 3 fights.
Yeah.
2 of them by TKO. The last one, Ricardo Margo, by majority decision.
It might have just been like a knockout thing too, or stoppage. Like he maybe had the most stoppages in a row. It was something crazy, numbers.
As soon as he like the first real fight he had, which was Felix Trinidad, TKO.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then he went on and beat Wilfred Rivera, Jose Flores, and then ran to Oscar De La Hoya, TKO.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Then fought a bunch of regular people in the middle, got to Shane Mosley, TKO. Shane Mosley rematch again, TKO, and then Ricardo Margo. Yeah, he never quite.
Well, let's take it back. Let's take it back to a fight. That's why there's a question mark next to Ronald Winky Wright, because I don't think he won that. A lot of people don't believe he won that fight. It was a weird scorecard. I mean, it was like a majority decision. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's what it is. Winky Wright won that fight handily, but they took the belt from Winky. Winky had to go and get the WBO. He lost his IBF. Yeah. I mean, he was a star born basically, and it wasn't even close, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody remembers that fight. You can comment on it. If you really think he beat Winky Wright, please let me know. Clay, when you get a chance, go watch that fight, Winky Wright versus Fernando Vargas. You'll see what I'm talking about. It was really a tough fight for Winky that day. It was a tough loss. And he was very upset over it, and that should have been his first loss. But guess what? Shit, the roost comes. What is it? The hen comes back to roost or whatever.
On the roost.
There you go,
Augustine.
And as soon as what's up, Sonny? And as soon as it got to Felix Trinidad, another big name, boom. Because even Corte was a good fighter at one point, but Corte already had a draw on his record with Oscar De La Hoya or somebody, right? Corte had he lost to De La Hoya. He lost to De La Hoya, so that was his only loss. So Corte was a good name because he was, remember, Fernando Vargas was pushing for the De La Hoya fight. And then when he got to De La Hoya, he got exposed, bro.
I always see when he got to the big show, he didn't look, the big shows never look good with him, man. And like you said, even with Winky, like whenever he got into those fights, it didn't look right. He got that unanimous decision on Ike Corte, though, for sure.
Yeah, he did.
So it looks like it's going to be Alexander and Daniel Dubois. It seems like that seems to be the more likely fight that's going to happen for Alexander to get to that 2 times undisputed, which makes sense to me. Alexander, obviously, the A side is going to get, is going to push what he wants. It makes sense for him to go ahead and get that rematch with Daniel Dubois with the story behind it. And Daniel Dubois brings an IBF title with him, right? And brings that undisputed, that 2 times undisputed for him. So it makes more sense. I know people want to push the Joseph Parker train, but Joseph Parker, probably should run it back with Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? Go ahead and run that fight. Get that on your belt. Get that that victory back that Anthony took from you. And then, get the winner between Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk. What do you think?
Funny, because Fight Sports Talk is going to be in here very upset when he gets to the panel. I promise you. Because he feels that, and rightfully so, that Daniel Dubois should be actually fighting Joseph Parker, or Joseph Parker should be fighting Usyk. Like, there should be an opportunity for him to win a belt at this point, right? Because he's done what he had to do to get there. But as we see the cases clear, as we see things going on, this is what happens. This is the sport of the game. Some people like gold, right? Shakur said, I love gold. So Usyk is obviously a champion, and he's willing to do certain things to be a champion. And he's not going 2-time undisputed because he's already 2-time undisputed. He's going for the trilogy. Now, he'll be
2-time heavyweight undisputed.
Yeah, he'll be a reclaimed heavyweight undisputed champion, which would be great. And I wish they used the word reclaimed. Don't give him the 3 times, because to me, I think it's kind of when they strip you and you don't lose the belts, I don't think there's no reason for you to get the opportunity to be called 3 times. I think it should be reclaimed or reassessed, or you know what I mean, because you really didn't lose the fight. But at the end of the day, man, listen. It's gonna be something to see. It's gonna be some good work. I think Dubois wins though.
I think Dubois wins too. I got a funny feeling he wins as well. Yeah, it makes sense, man. 2 times undisputed. If Usyk hasn't proven nothing to you guys, that man loves belts. He likes unifying. He likes undisputed. He likes the accolades. He likes to be celebrated. He doesn't like fighting fights just for any reason. Every fight he does has purpose behind it. And fighting Joseph Parker, that's giving Joseph Parker a chance. That's cute and adorable, but I'm on my way out the door. I'm here for the legacy, and I got the money behind me with Turkey Al-Sheikh. Daniel Dubois packed out a stadium with Anthony Joshua, 90,000 plus people. Yeah, bro, I want some of that. Let's get that. Let's get that going. I might even be willing to do that fight right there in Wembley as well. Let's go ahead in the arena. Maybe not Wembley. I don't know if they could pack out. You think they could pack out Wembley?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, was it packed out last time when Anthony Joshua went in for it?
It was, but that's Anthony.
Right, but hold on. You got the baddest man on the planet. Let's be correct. I'm not saying the A side, the face of boxing. I'm saying the baddest man on the planet, because whoever's the heavyweight champion is the baddest man, because he's the heavyweight, he's the top of the echelon. He's beating everybody, he's undefeated. Coming into that arena against your champion, the guy you guys represent, and I mean, who represents you guys. And he's going in there, and we already seen the fight the first time, which was very questionable. Now you got this guy coming in, and you got the opportunity to be undisputed. Oh, absolutely. Because you know what this sets up? Another European fight, an English fight, all English fight. Could be Tyson Fury, could be a run back with AJ, could be a lot of different things. So at the end of the day, yeah. This can actually be something that's very important for what they're bringing to the sport, and I like it. I like what Dubois, if Dubois wins this fight. I think it'd be something that we can say, word. I don't know what that was, but it just seemed like it was cool to do at the time.
Yeah, didn't know what it was either, man.
Oh.
I was like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird, bro. It was kind of weird,
Yeah,
bro.
it was.
It is what it is, right?
Listen, I'm human, man. I'm allowed to make those mistakes. Look, that's weird. Look at you. Look, I'm just playing.
Man, listen, man. that thing still come. Yo, let me tell you, that flu I had, I'm all good, but every now and then it's still like reminiscent. It's still like it has a little essence left. Like, oh, are you still there?
I promise you. Remember when I had my throat? I don't know. Pause before everybody go there. Remember when I had my little congestion thing?
Right.
And I couldn't even talk. And I lost my voice. I think I forgot what I had. I'll tell you what I had later. But anyway, when I had and it was gone, I had that shit for like 6 weeks, 7 weeks after. Like I had to wear a mask at work because I couldn't breathe the air because my throat would get dry, and it was just getting crazy.
Memphis and Will says, "How do Parker keep getting skipped over?"
I don't
feel like he's getting skipped over, bro.
No, he just doesn't seem like he's the and not that he hasn't fought anybody. He's just been running into the right doors. But he hasn't been running into the correct door. Does that make sense? Like
he happens to be
in the right place at the right time. There you go.
He's in the wrong place. It's kind of like Terrence Crawford in Boots, right? Like just wrong time. Like like Terrence Crawford was just like, nah, I got bigger and better things to do. I got things that I'm in a place in my from Alexander Usyk's point of view. I've only got a few fights left, and I want them to be significant. And Daniel Dubois did have that shady, that body shot that people, a lot of people felt like was a good shot, wasn't a low blow, and he has the IBF title, so he brings undisputed to the table. He brings the money with Turkey Al-Sheikh to the table. It's just bad timing for Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker just doesn't bring the intangibles, bro. And right. Daniel Dubois in this conversation has just as much right at Alexander Usyk as Joseph Parker does, if not more.
Like all three of them do.
Well, G. Caballero don't got.
He got the WBA interim.
Yeah, but still, nah, bro. He's earned it on paper, but Daniel Dubois has earned it on.
No, I'm talking about. You're saying Joseph Parker. Has just as much right to the fight as Joseph Parker, and I'm saying so does Ajit. Has the same amount of. He has
Joseph Parker,
right? Yes, it's Joseph Parker,
but not Daniel.
No, Daniel definitely deserves a fight, man. I mean, this is he's been looking to get this fight back for quite some time, man. I mean, he deserves it. It's rewarded.
Yeah, he's had the year, he's had the performances, he's had the arena sellout, he's had he's got the IBF title, the real IBF title. He's got the intangibles that make more sense for him to get the fight than Joseph Parker. Unfortunately, Usyk can't fight 2-3 people at the same time. So, you got to make a choice between the people that's in front of you. And I just don't think Joseph Parker brings anything except for paperwork to the table. You know what I'm saying? That's what he brings is paperwork. Shout out G-Tad. Walaikum salam, King. Hope everything's good with you, family. Risk versus reward. 2 cents said risk versus reward. Are we talking about Joseph Parker? Risk versus reward? I agree with that as well. I think, what reward does he bring? An interim champion? A mandatory? You know what I'm saying? That's cool. I'm at a place right now where I ain't got to do that, though. I'll fight Daniel Dubois, get my belt back. I'll become 2-time undisputed heavyweight champion. I get the big bag because of Turkey. We pack out an arena. You know what I mean? And when I'm done with that, maybe I'll fight one of you guys. Maybe I'll fight Joseph Parker then, or maybe I might retire and we might, you might get upgraded to a full champion. You know what I mean? You be an email champion and then you and Daniel can figure it out, or, I'm saying, G. Kaba, there's big fights out there to be made, man. But Joseph Parker against Alexander Usyk might not be in the stars, might not be in the stars for them.
Great.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. I think we covered a lot of stuff today, man. Today's show, I knew already when I did it. I was shocked that we went this long, to be honest with you. Today's show, I knew it was like, we already talked about so much this week. That's one thing I'm thinking about changing up a little bit. I think we just be going too hard sometimes in the boxing. We should stay on some topics.
Yeah, either that, or we just got to bring the panel in on one day. Just bring the panel in. Just have a random conversation. Like, just let everybody bring up the content. You know what I mean? Even if it leads into some debates, we clear the room and let them have it for 2 minutes. You know how Edwin is. Edwin comes in like, yo, man. Just kidding. Just love Edwin. He come in on fire sometimes. That's my brother. You know what I mean? D-Block coming in. You know what I mean? Facts. Let somebody just get it in. Because sometimes they got legitimate things to say, and it's a different point of view and different perspective. Even my brother Thomas Hill today, you know what I mean? Different perspectives. Like to hear him have him speak. You know what I mean? The mayor is in the building, as they say. You know what I mean? So fire frequency coming up, and sometimes he has some great things to say and benefit things. Here for boxing, you know what I mean? All our brothers out there, man. We all with them, man. And we always
say good show. Stop hating on Tank though.
I can't. Listen. Let me tell you something. My car's gas tank. Let me tell you why I hate it so much.
It is what it is.
Hey
go. Guys, man. Look, man. I put the link out there. Nobody's trying to come up. I understand, man. It's one of those days. It's the last day for me of the week, though. I'm about to go chill, relax, catch up. I know 2 cents. I already know, family. Chill, relax. I appreciate you guys showing up, man. Hit the like button if you haven't done it yet, man. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the channel. I appreciate shout out to the sponsor of the channel today, Warrior Class 3. Sponsored the channel today, man. Appreciate all the color in the chat. Shout out to everybody else who put color in the chance, 2 cents, Big Herm, Cap'n, don't give a fuck. All those guys. Salute to all you guys. Salute to you, Bub Boxing, for always keeping it spicy in the chat.
Yeah, man. I think you Bradley 68 nephew or something, bro. Like, what's up with that? Y'all act alike. Y'all come from the same lineage. Just Bradley's a little bit more uncut than you, but y'all do the same thing. That's funny. I like them though. They cool cats, man. They cool. In all due respect, they all good guys, man. I know they believe in their champion, Clay.
Yeah, no doubt. Joel Golden, salute to you, family. Salute to you, family. Guys, hit the like button if you ain't done it, man. Let's make sure everybody get the like and help the channel get in the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, but you know what it is. We covered it all. We talked about it all. At this point,
yo.
Set them straight. They hate when you elevate. They hate when you elevate. Yeah. They hate when you elevate. They hate when you elevate. Yeah. I had to elevate. I'm way too fly. Yeah, I'm feeling myself. Ain't no chance I'm coming down. No, got a soul view to myself. Yeah. Why would I give it up? Why do they want to come take my place? I work too hard for it, don't need a replacement. This my vocation. Now I got rollies all in rotation. Hop on a jet just to take a vacation. Remember the moments was trapped in the basement. Now the hard work is all taking me places. Squatting all bad like we trapped in the matrix. Bet on myself and go ball out in Vegas. Living a life like I'm rich and I'm famous. Don't see the grind that I know that it came with.